And the Seminoles win this game by 71 points.
Good afternoon and welcome, everybody. This would be the Jeff Cameron Show right here on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Thanks for tuning to it. Good Monday to you. Hope you had a great weekend. I'm Jeff. That's Tom. We're online, ESPNTallahassee.com. That's where you go to listen live via the streaming. Free as always. Don't miss anything. If you do, all 3 hours going to be posted both on iTunes and our own audio vault. Upon the conclusion of the show, you can always email us as well. It's jcs at 979espnradio.com. Find me on Twitter at jcameronshow. WTSM app for your mobile devices. And would also note that we're on YouTube if you want to watch the show. ESPN Tallahassee on YouTube. Yeah, we figured you guys have been dying for a montage, so there you go. In all of its splendor, there it was. Glorious, that montage T. Lizzie put together. Intricate, a lot of splices, a lot of fitting things together there. It could be difficult. Those are the kinds that really, I know, it's blood, sweat, and tears, man. A lot of pride in that thing.
Well, I know that we've wanted one so badly, that so I have it isolated. If you ever just need to hit it at any point today,
just be ready.
I can hit it. I'm ready.
Can I hear it again? It moved the soul. You can barely contain
and
yourself.
The Seminoles win this game by 71 points.
Well, that last little is really the thing.
There it is.
You're like,
it's a
yeah.
thump.
Well, it drives it home. It drives home the resounding nature of that defeat. Get you some Delaware State. Let that sit with you for a while. That's not fun. That's barely watchable. Even in a year in which, you could desperately, you could sense we desperately needed maybe a game like that, given how frustrating this year's been. I don't know, man. I get it. I'm not saying we're the only ones. Schools across the country, especially the week before a rivalry, go ahead and schedule foes that have literally no chance. Did I guess the halftime score correctly? I think I did. My Twitter feed was blowing up. People were like, you nailed it. I think I said 56-6 at half or 55-6, whatever I said when we were like joking around about the score at the end of the pregame show.
Well, we had the over-under, or I'm sorry, the spread, and I said, would you take
56
and a half?
Yeah, and I gave 56.
Yeah. I think I went 49 on Friday, then 56 on Tallahassee game day. And you didn't care. You were steadfast. You said, I don't need your willy-nilly 56 and a half.
I thought we could cover it by halftime. I mean, that game was not ever going to be competitive. It really doesn't have a chance to be, and it's unfortunate because it's not. It feels like it violates the spirit of competition a little bit to me. Now I get it. That's fine. They won it. I'm not going to stress on that because it's self-evident. And now it's Florida, and now it's Florida State, Florida, which is one of the great rivalries. And I do admittedly lament the fact that we enter it this weekend, an abridged week where it's very strange as we kind of do the show. A lot of people have the day off. A lot of people are on their way out of town. A lot of people getting set for Thanksgiving. And these two teams are 4-6. And so it's almost an afterthought. And yet I'm sensitive to the fact that for many in this community and that community, meaning Florida, and for many who went to school at a time before either university really emerged as a power in college football, this was it. This was the biggest deal in the world. This was, and for a very long time, after both schools established themselves, became one of the great rivalries of college football. And you'd like to say and embrace the fact that it still is, just in the midst of a terrible season for both teams. Without question, that's what this is, but it still matters a lot to people. Bragging rights and rivalry games, along with streaks, always matter. You got a chance to win, 5 in a row now over Florida?
You're damn right. That's the golden Bohica.
Well, then.
The gold-plated.
The gold-plated Bohica, yeah. Platinum is what we strive for around here.
I got you.
But it is a gold-plated Bohica if you can get it.
Yeah.
I like gold-plated stuff, I guess. Gold-plated Bohicas especially. Now, I was asked the question over the weekend, Jeff, at what point do we contemplate the platinum Bohica being thrown down on Florida? We got to win this one first. You got to get the gold-plated Bohica first. So let's get us that gold-plated Bohica. No matter how disappointing the season has been, if you walk out of here with a win over Florida, your 5th straight, and with that comes the gold-plated Bohica, you can be, happier than you were otherwise.
Well,
put it that way.
The way we are now, we're walking. We've already crawled, now we're walking.
Yeah.
But we have to learn to run.
Bit, yeah.
We got to learn how to run.
A little jog.
Get a little jog going.
Get a little jog going. Maybe work up a sweat.
And then you get to the sprint. The sprint is when you hit 9. But right now, it's a leisurely walk.
Oh, we're coming down the stretch when you get to 9. That handoff for the final baton exchange is nerve-wracking. Don't drop it.
It's a platinum baton.
Don't drop it. Snatch that baton and roll. Right now, we're at the halfway point. It's just sort of a little, all right, it's a good-looking race. We're doing okay here. Gold-plated Bohica. Come on. Let's get it. Yeah, I'd like to beat Florida for a 5th consecutive time. I'd like the new coach to inherit a losing streak like that. No, it's not on their resume, but the pressure they'll feel to undo that will arrive with them on the job. As for Florida State, yawn. Good on you, young kids. Good on you, kids that never get to play, that got to play in this game. And that part of it makes you smile because practice is hard. And practice with no real reward, no kind of moment in the sun for a lot of these guys. No chance to, after, wearing beatings on the scout team or being a 3rd or 4th string guy that realizes I'm A, never going to get a scholarship, B, never really going to get a chance to play any meaningful minutes in a game. You want those guys to get their opportunity at some point. And senior day is that opportunity. Homecoming oftentimes is that opportunity. And you did get to see that. And that was cool. And it was, I think, obviously, and you'll hear from Jimbo Fisher in the Mountain Dew coaches interview that I did last night. You'll get to hear him talk about that. I asked him specifically about how emotional it is. Because I do know with coaches, they go to these kids' homes. They go and they sit across from them and their parents. And they make promises. Oftentimes, they see where it is a kid comes from and some of the tough environments that we've talked about over the years where a lot of college football players come from, where, in many cases, kids that this is their way out. This is their opportunity, their chance to go to college, to get a degree. Maybe not to play pro football, but just to get to a university. They're going to ride that athleticism, that hard work that they've put in, that blood, sweat, and tears that they've put in all the days leading up to that one that they get that invite to go to Florida State. And they come here, and so it is that a coach thinks back on those moments when they think about senior day. Or they think about all the practices that the walk-ons and the guys that aren't on scholarship have endured. And the punishment they've received, and now their day to shine happens on a senior day. So that part of it's cool.
Yeah, and Jimbo is the type to get on a walk-on if he's not using the scout team principles correctly. Because
he coaches them up.
If you don't duplicate what you're going to see as the first team offense or defense, he doesn't like it very much. So there are coaches who couldn't care less about walk-ons, and then the underlings take care of the walk-ons. But Jimbo, it doesn't matter whether you're a walk-on or you're the starting quarterback. He's going to ream you just the same.
Well, first of all, we've had interns that were walk-ons, right, over there at Florida State.
That is correct.
And we've heard that story and been regaled by it on numerous occasions. And in addition to that if I'm going to criticize the man when I think he deserves it, I should also praise him for it when he does deserve it as well. And in that capacity, I think he deserves a lot of praise. That's where he holds true to his bond, right, where his word. This is a guy that loves football players, and this is a guy who did play small college football or, at a lower level, but was passionate about it and gleaned a lot from it and went on to become a coach after it. Well, that guy believes there's the right way to do it, and that ball is ball, and you play the game, and you do things the right way. So we've seen him yelling at walk-ons and, guys that are never going to see the field as if he's coaching them up to start on that Saturday. He does that with every player, and that's very admirable.
if you issue an over-under with time, passing, could it be a before and after instead of an over-under? I guess what I'm getting to is before or after the completion of Thanksgiving dinner, you will feel passionate about Florida State and ready to go and ready to see that game.
Probably after.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I think I would feel no. There is so much going on right now involving this program and that one, and what's going to happen there, what's going to happen here, what coaches are still going to remain, which are going to be asked to have a good day. Will Jimbo Fisher himself be back next year? In the midst of all of this, it's hard to get hyper-focused on a football game, especially one involving 2 4-6 teams. Now, I know, just as you do, just as every one of the fans that listen to this show and call one of those two universities theirs, that when the uniforms take the field and you see them across from one another, no matter how long it's taken to get to that point and no matter the records and how far lost the seasons feel, the rivalry will stir. It will stir within inside you, and I think without question within those players and those coaches. It's always that way. We've played games against Florida where we were down and they were up, and you thought, oh, man, do we have to? But then the game starts and you see those uniforms across from one another, and you're like, let's get it on. Let's rise up for the day, boys. You know how that is, and there have been days when we were the much better team and everybody in that stadium knew it. And Florida came in here and you thought, well, we're going to blow Florida out. But then you got nervous knowing that rivalry games are weird. Teams play harder than they do in any other situation. And most of the time, when we've been down or they've been down, first of all, it hasn't been simultaneous. Secondly, there's always been the acknowledgement that the two clubs, no matter the position they're in, are talented. Something else has happened off the field, injuries, coaching controversies. Something has happened to derail a season, but it's rarely where you could go, well, they're just not any good. They couldn't win if they played their best game. That's not true, certainly going into Saturday. This will be, I think, a close game. Neither team's all that good. Neither team has played all that well. There's no reason to think that somebody's going to play at an elite level on Saturday. I got to imagine we'll struggle to move the football offensively because that's what the hell we do, and Florida will struggle to move the ball offensively because that's who they are. And you'll watch a pretty close game that goes late into the second half.
I think we're a better team by a touchdown to 10 points, but,
it's
again,
just a one-possession game if it's a touchdown. I mean, there
right.
you are.
And I could see us having 3 or 4 drives where you're going, well, what the hell are we doing on offense?
Yes, every week you do.
Yes.
Sure, save for Delaware State. There's no reason to suddenly think James Blackman's going to step into the field on the field in the swamp at Ben Hill Griffin and start swinging it around with confidence. Or that they'll block it up long enough for him to do it, or that the receivers will be consistent?
No. I think if you're projecting Florida State to win this one comfortably, it's because your two-headed monster on the ground is going to be able to rack up 200, 250 yards combined between the two of them.
Well, it's felt that way a few times in the last 4 years or so where we've gone into the game and thought, well, I'm not in love with what this season's been. I'm not in love with who this team is, but I do think with Dalvin Cook, we're going to have a good day. Or we're going to rely on the run game and our defense, and they're going to struggle. Well, I kind of feel like going into this game, we're going to rely on the run game and our defense, and Florida's going to struggle and, get worn down.
Yeah, I really feel like the race is 13 or 16. Honestly, I think we've got a good I think there's a good
the race is to 13.
Yeah, feel for this game kind of ahead of time. It's going to feature some football that leaves you shaking your head when it's going to commercial break going, good God.
All you care about and all I care about, no matter how ugly it will be, is a victory, because with it, Florida State is in essence bowl eligible. They're going to beat ULM. So this is it. This is to go to a bowl. It's to beat your rival for a 5th year in a row. It's to continue to have hand over the Florida Gators and put yourself in a position to extend a record streak.
Yes, it is.
And in that sense, it's very, very important.
And for a brief moment, I got fired up on a Monday.
I could tell. I was getting to you. You were starting to feel it a little bit. Hey, Florida State won both their basketball games in Jamaica. That's a good thing. They did so going away. Friday night's game was a lot more aesthetically pleasing than the game last night, beating Colorado State 90-73 in the Jamaica Classic. All I care about in this non-conference games, it's not an off season, it's a non-conference schedule, is racking up the wins and getting better. In 2 of the 3 games, Florida State's been fun to watch this year. This one, not as much.
Well, MJ Walker was fun to watch yesterday.
22 points will do that to you, and you can see that he's going to be a player. And also, they continue to play really, really fast. If you look at the games that have been played over the course of the first week of college basketball, Florida State's in the top 25 in terms of how quickly they hoist the shot and how quickly they get down the floor. They also, while turning the ball over themselves too often, Tom, have forced a lot of turnovers. They forced 22 yesterday and are averaging forcing over 21 a game.
Well, and they're back to being just stifling and, altering shots. That's the word I was looking for, altering.
Well, they block shots. Kamaji blocks a lot of shots.
Well, yeah, he could start the game with 3 or 4 before the first media timeout if you're not careful, as the opponent, if you're not careful.
Yeah.
But one thing I would say about yesterday's game with MJ Walker that I found really interesting, and, it's if you like hope, this is it right here, shovels of it. It's not just about the threes that he's hitting, the shots he's creating, and the offense. It's that he gets back down the court on defense and gives a damn. He gets fouled out in this game, and it was not a foul. It's a clean block. But it's an effort play when the game was already in hand.
Yeah.
And that, to me, screams a McDonald's All-American caliber freshman who cares to be a starter, who wants to play between 28 and 32 minutes a night.
It's the thing. You're latching on to the right thing there, my friend.
And he should.
Well, we'll see. We'll see if he continues to develop that way, but I do like it. I agree with you.
That shot's going to travel.
There has been some things where in the past you've gone, I question the want to and the love, but it's not in question right now at all.
Him and Cobb and Golly get down the court, man. They get up and down the court.
My Jimbo Fisher Mountain Dew interview, which was done last night, is what's coming up next. Stay with us. Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
Landowners, only Mahindra, the makers of the toughest utility vehicles on earth, can give you the best year-end deal on earth. So let us show you how to get tax savings on your new Mahindra XTV and get cash back and savings up to $2,500 on select clearance models. Plus, get a free roof and Mahindra's 3-year warranty.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck. Always enough, I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
The bunker, the rough, the even rougher.
Yeah, put me down for an 8.
The giant maples. The row of houses out of bounds on the right. The angry flock of geese who've surrounded your ball. Even the occasional groundskeeper you had no clue was there. But if you think you found every possible hazard out there, think again. The hazard you missed could actually be a killer. It's the spot on your skin. the one that could be skin cancer. Fact is, if you're a man over 50, you're in a group most likely to develop skin cancer, including melanoma, the kind that kills one person every hour. 1 in 5 Americans is likely to develop a form of skin cancer during their lifetime. That's why your best shot is to check for a spot. It's easy. Follow through and check your skin. It could be the save of a lifetime. Go to spotskincancer.org to find out how. A message from the American Academy of Dermatology.
Barry knows cool. He's keeping you comfortable. Barry knows cool. You can put him to the test.
You can always count on the Knolls to deliver. But what about your home comfort system? If your system is older or giving you problems, call the professionals at Barano Heating and Air Conditioning to check it out. Make the right call this season and turn to the experts at Carrier and Barano Heating and Air. Go Knolls. License number CAC 057652.
Takes 4 essential ingredients to brew Bud Light: barley, rice, water, and hops. But this is a 30-second commercial. So here's some sound effects of bottles opening. Here's to the beer you can always count on. Brewed to be America's favorite light lager, Bud Light. Famous among friends. Enjoy responsibly. Bud Light Beer, AB, St. Louis, Missouri.
Hey, Fido!
Yes, bud?
Hey, have you heard about that Hair of the Dog sports bar?
Yeah, it's all everyone's been barking about. It's Midtown's #1 sports bar with over 50 TVs, burgers, loaded nachos, and wings, and a massive bar. Plus, Hair of the Dog is human-friendly, but you gotta keep them on a leash.
Sounds like a great place to watch those human teams play catch.
You mean football? Hair of the Dog sports bar, Midtown, North Monroe behind Brugger's. Best drink prices and juiciest burgers in town. Sexy French poodles welcome.
Don't just listen to The Jeff Cameron Show. Watch it live. The Jeff Cameron Show Streamcast. Live weekdays 3 to 6 p.m. Head to ESPNTallahassee.com today to watch live or catch up on demand. The Jeff Cameron Show Streamcast. Brought to you by Nice Tire and Auto, your trusted Goodyear dealer. 574-4100. And presented by TNT Supercenter in Thomasville, Georgia. And Franklin Spring Creek Ford. You're listening to The Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
All right, welcome back. Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio. We're joined by head coach Jimbo Fisher. And, Coach, you know, a game like this is not in question, but I always know when you think back on the blood, the sweat, the tears, and everything that's been shared together, when a class comes through, it's an emotional day to coach a game like this. And I guess if you want to give me some big picture stuff here, you got some special guys that are finishing up their career here at Florida State.
We really do. And those seniors, what they've been through, the fifth-year seniors, you know, they were part of the national championship team, part of the 29-game win streak. I mean, 4 straight New Year's Six bowl games, the 5 in a row that we went to, they've been to 4 of them. Like I say, I mean, that just the history and what they meant, the character they went, the things they've went through, the ups and downs, and, you know, and it's just special. I mean, and you see them every time you see them on that field, the first thing you think, the first time you ever met them, the first time you ever talked to them, all those memories go through your head. They're just like your kids. I mean, they really are. And it's happy and it's sad at the same time.
Well, and you know, and your coaching staff knows what a lot of those kids had to do to overcome, to get to a place like Florida State. I think sometimes people on the outside might forget that a lot of kids who had a tough life. Not everybody, but a lot of those kids had a tough life to be able to come through here and potentially get a degree and to have achieved the way that they have. That's it's why it's emotional.
It is. It's very. And people don't understand anything. All these kids have been given everything in their life. Man, they've scratched. Most of them don't have anything. And they've scratched and clawed to have the opportunity of so many people sacrifice for them to get here. And even not just our scholarship guys, our walk-on guys who've come out there. And then my chances of playing are very minute. There's not a lot of opportunities there, but the character and heart on our team, that's why we've been able to stay together this year and compete at the way we have and with the heart and soul we have.
Yeah, if you're a walk-on or a scout team kid, you clearly love football. And to make it through and know that you're not really going to get too many opportunities to shine on the big stage, you've got to love your teammates, your coaches, your university, and you got to love to grind. You got to love to practice. You do, and I mean the quality you learn in life and the grind, as you say. People don't understand the grind that these kids have is utterly amazing. That
if people only truly knew what they went through.
I know that it was talked about some in the postgame yesterday, but for those that didn't hear that, you can expound upon it now. An amazing turn of events there with Justin Motlow becoming the first ever member of the Seminole Indian tribe to score a touchdown, and his teammates, just to see the way that people responded. That was an emotional moment as well. That was something to behold.
It really was, and one, is a part of the Seminole tribe, and two, just Justin in general. He's an unbelievable human being. He works his tail off, yes sir, no sir, and has put himself in a position to earn those things and has made himself into a really, really good football player.
Can you talk about, when we're talking about sacrifice and a willingness to do for a team, you can't help but not ignore a guy like Ryan Green who gets a chance to score, and he's a talent, Coach. I've said before, and I'm sure you'll trumpet this as well, if this wasn't a place where so many elite players come through to play that position, he starts for most teams in the country, most teams in the ACC, and yet he was willing to switch over to cornerback and then come back to running back. Take us through a conversation like that where you have an overabundance of talent at a place and you decide to move a kid, and what goes through that?
Well, it may not be that, or you may need him somewhere else, and guys' skill sets. I mean, even like Xavier Rhodes, when he was a receiver, he could have been a great receiver, but I thought his skill set would be better over there. Ryan was an unbelievable defensive player. And, some of the best highlights he ever had was probably even more so on defense than they were on offense in high school. If you saw, he was amazing. He was a very physical guy. That's why we wanted to move him to corner. And he just, he didn't feel as comfortable there, so we brought him in. We told him to try it. It's worked with a lot of guys we've had around here, and things that we've moved around. And if you don't, bring him back. And he was actually said, Coach, I just don't feel comfortable. So, okay, so come on back. And we don't ever make them. We just suggest, and it's never forced on him. And but he was a multi-talented guy that had the ability to do both. And obviously found where he wanted to play was running back.
Yeah, and in today's day and age, it's always nice to see a kid stick around, willing to compete, not transfer the second things don't go his way.
Mm-hmm. It is. And but but some of those kids, like I say, even the kids that transfer, I don't ever consider that wrong either. Because if you see that there's not an opportunity and you only got 4 years to play in your lifetime, I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing either. But at the same time, Ryan chose, and again, I commend him for doing what he did because he's a true Seminole.
Coach, a game like this that gets out of hand in a hurry, I guess gives you an opportunity not only just to play a lot of guys and give people opportunities, but also to rest veteran players. And this has been a weird year, and one that's featured all kinds of things you could not have scripted or played out. So that rest is imperative for the veterans before you take on Florida.
No doubt, and it's great for them. And again, and even your younger players they're going to have extended roles and are playing at the end of the year instead of getting 6 or 8 or 10 snaps a game. All of a sudden, they got 25 or 30, so their development can happen, and you're developing backups.
What can you get from a score that gets out of hand like this? What do you get as a coach? What do you learn? What can players get out of this besides confidence? I suppose
those moments for guys that never going to get a chance to play, to have those 3 or 4 or 5 plays and get a stat and know that they played at Florida State and made a huge contribution. The young guys getting developed. Instead of getting 10 plays a game, they get 30 plays a game, and see how they react in extended time, and see how mature your starters are. Are they mature enough to go out there and take care of their business the way they're supposed to early to let those guys play? So, all those different things can happen.
So had this game or the ULM game, which is now rescheduled, if that had played earlier, do you believe it would have an impact on this team in a positive manner, in the sense that obviously that confidence could have been gained, those reps could have been had?
It can be. You'll never know that. To say that 100%, you don't ever know. But you would like to think so. But that's what it is. It is what it is.
All right, so it's not lost on everybody. It's Florida week. Last couple questions here, Coach. You got Florida now. You've had a lot of success against Florida. Both schools find themselves in a unique position, not used to being teams with these records. But Florida State still has a chance to become bowl eligible. You can't worry about that until you get a win here. Your thoughts on what you're looking at with Florida?
Well, they're going to play their tails off at the end, knowing we need this game very badly. They're going to play hard, and it's Florida State, so the records don't matter. And this is the true epitome of that. Whether you're 10-0, 0, whatever it may be, it's Florida State, one of the great rivalries, and both teams are going to play their tails off for a lot of pride, and there's a lot on the line on both sides.
Want to wish you a happy Thanksgiving, Coach. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. We'll talk to you again next week, and you take care.
Thank you, Jeff. Happy Thanksgiving to you and everyone out there.
All right, thank you. That's Jimbo Fisher, head coach, Florida State University, joining us. Talk a little bit about a game that gets away, obviously, very early, and he gets a chance to play a lot of guys. And he gets a chance to see some guys shine who really, really sacrifice. Guys who lay it on the line every day, whose names you don't know. Guys who are obviously just as up against it as a starter that you do know, in terms of a sacrifice of some of the fun that you can have in college that you can't have as a student athlete, or that you could have less of, and the ability to make those sacrifices and then not get the reward of being out on the field on a Saturday afternoon for everybody to watch you play, but to do it for love of the game and the love of your teammates and the commitment. So I know it's always emotional for coaches. Over the years, when I talk to coaches, most of the time these senior day moments or homecoming games are blowouts. They're runaways, and yet coaches cherish them. And not because they're going to get an automatic win, although that's nice. It's because they're going to get to see the faces of the parents, the grandmas and grandpas, and those that sacrificed along with those kids. And those kids will get an opportunity to play and dress and get their time to shine. It's Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
Landowners, only Mahindra, the world's #1 selling tractor, can give you the #1 year-end deal. Let us show you how to get tax savings on the toughest tractors on earth and get up to $7,400 in discounts along with Mahindra's 7-year warranty. Plus, get an Emax 22 with mid-mower for just $134 a month.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck. Always enough, I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
Touchdown! Seminoles are going for the win. The ESPN Tallahassee team will be on hand for every Seminole away football game with giveaways, a chance to win some great prizes, and to have a good time.
To the pylon, he's into the end zone for an FSU touchdown.
So, when the Noles hit the road, join us at Miller's Ale House on the Parkway, the official FSU watch party headquarters of your home of the best in Seminole sports talk. 97.9 ESPN Radio, Tallahassee Sports Authority.
Save big at Boot Barn this weekend. Deals start on Thanksgiving Day. Cody James and Cheyenne boots for only $99.99. Men's and ladies' flannels for just $19.99. Save 20% on select outerwear and get Carhartt jackets for as low as $59.99. Plus, Wrangler men's original and slim fit rigid cowboy cut jeans for only $19.99. Boot Barn opens at 9 a.m. on Thanksgiving Day and 6 a.m. on Black Friday. Hurry into Boot Barn for these limited deals.
Clean motor oil keeps your engine running at peak performance. Right now at O'Reilly Auto Parts, save on your next oil change when you purchase 5 quarts of Pennzoil high mileage motor oil and a MicroGuard filter for the price of Pennzoil conventional, just $24.99. Save big with Pennzoil oil at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Limits apply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Don't just listen to The Jeff Cameron Show. Watch it live. The Jeff Cameron Show Streamcast. Live weekdays 3 to 6 p.m. Head to ESPNTallahassee.com today to watch live or catch up on demand. The Jeff Cameron Show Streamcast. Brought to you by Nice Tire and Auto, your trusted Goodyear dealer. 574-4100. And presented by TNT Supercenter in Thomasville, Georgia. And Franklin Spring Creek Ford.
ESPN Radio Sports Center.
I'm Christine Lisi. Breaking news, Oklahoma quarterback Baker Mayfield will not start against West Virginia on Saturday. That announcement coming from Coach Lincoln Riley 2 days after cameras caught Mayfield cursing at and making a lewd gesture toward the Kansas bench. In addition, Mayfield won't be a captain for the game. He will, though, play at some point. Week 11 of the NFL season finishes off with the Falcons and Seahawks on Monday Night Football. Seattle without 3 stalwarts on defense due to injuries. Richard Sherman, Cam Chancellor, Cliff Averill. Atlanta will be without the injured Devontae Freeman, so that means Tevin Coleman will play a main role for the Falcons, believes ESPN's Louis Riddick.
They need the explosive plays out of the backfield. They still need to be a balanced football team. They still need the run-pass component. It can't just be pass, pass, pass. Against this football team, especially up there in Seattle, where they'll just tee off on you pass rush-wise. And they need to get him involved in the passing game.
Monday Night Football, 8:20 Eastern on ESPN TV and the ESPN app. The Bills say there is no ligament damage to receiver Calvin Benjamin's injured knee. It's not known at this point if he'll be able to play on Sunday against the Chiefs. NBA Celtics look for their 16th straight win in tonight's visit to Dallas.
Dell's Black Friday sale is on through November 26th with the lowest prices of the year, free shipping, and extended returns. Check out the huge doorbusters on electronics and laptops with Intel Core processors. Visit Dell.com/Black Friday or call 800-BUY-DELL.
Live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee, this is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Man Cave Monday, brought to you by Experamac of Tallahassee. Experamac, Tallahassee's trusted tech source for Apple. Stopping at 346 South Magnolia Drive or call at 765-2012 today.
Imagine how profoundly disappointing it has to be a UCLA fan to get the good news that you fired Mora Jr. and that you're looking at Jeff Fisher. Holy. I mean, just stop, right? Would you just say, well, we can't have nice things at UCLA. Not in football. Apparently, Jeff Fisher's about to be our next head coach. Just shoot me. What the hell are we doing here?
But big believer in responsibility, and
good Lord, man.
We'll be able to go 500 in conference in no time.
I don't know. It's interesting to me that Chip Kelly, who was visited by the University of Florida brass over the weekend, yesterday in New Hampshire, they fly up there and say, hey, man, we'd like an answer. We'd like you to take this job. It's the University of Florida. There's really not much to consider. It's the University of Florida. Chip, why don't you sign on the line, which is dotted? Well, guys, I'm not so sure. I'm just going to need a little time to contemplate whether or not UCLA wants me. Oh, what a slap in the face. UCLA. Perennial tint of suspicion. Sorry. Underachieving, never accomplished nothing. UCLA. What?
Devastating.
Well, Jeff, he's using it as leverage. He's driving up the... Come on, man. Maybe it's a better fit. Maybe Chip realizes, I need to be on the West Coast. I need to be out in L.A. I'll put together some high-flying, greatest show on turf type offenses, and we'll have a lot of fun, and expectations will be minimal, and I'll be all right.
Sprinkle in a little razzle-dazzle while we're at it? What do you say?
Whole lot of razzle and dazzle.
Welcome to Westwood.
All right. Let's get it on. Don't worry about that giant shadow that permanently hangs over our practice fields. That's just cast by USC. There's nothing we can do about it. It's just, whenever I hear about that job and people talk about it glowingly, I go, I guess at some point that job will matter. Maybe
Saban could make it work out there.
Maybe. I suppose, maybe. He is probably the greatest of all time. But even then, I wouldn't guarantee it. We'll see.
I don't know.
That's a toughie.
Rose Bowl is quite a drive.
It's a lovely, lovely place. But still, for whatever reason, that has not been a place that has been able to draw big-time coaching names and big-time success with any degree of consistency. That much is true. Although they sure played USC tough this past weekend, unfortunately. That was out of nowhere. That was something to behold there, Tom.
That was Rosen posing for the Scouts.
Yeah.
Didn't even mean to rhyme there.
I saw you working there. But I would wonder now what we're going to get in terms of, I mean, again, Florida's made a change. We'll see who they go to, and it looks like they offered Chip Kelly the job, as we said. We'll see if he takes it. I would imagine we're going to get something from Florida this week.
Oh, hell yeah.
I mean, we're going to get something announced this week. So, and that intrigues me for a lot of reasons, because I want to know who, if anybody on that staff, is retained, and also how it affects Florida State.
I think to footnote that, they would have an answer on Chip Kelly this week. You know, if the answer is no, then maybe the drawing board takes them another 5 or 6 business days to complete their search.
Yeah. And again, Chip Kelly talked with representatives from the University of Florida. The Tampa Bay Times, amongst other places, confirmed that. And, there's lots of interest in that job, as there should be. It gets difficult this time of year when you're not in contention for anything. This time of year, you're starting to hear whispers of certain coaches going certain places, some of which will most assuredly take guys that we will want.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's the hard part.
Well, I think, if let's just say the Kelly thing falls apart and he decides to stay in Bristol or UCLA or somewhere else. I think if the answer is no on that one, then most Gator fans would, at least, if they're not lying to themselves, perhaps there's a sliver of truth to it. They're waiting until Friday night when UCF wraps up its game with USF.
Right. They're waiting for Scott Frost to say, I'm headed to Florida.
And then an announcement could be made. Because I think if you get to tomorrow and Chip Kelly has said no, I don't think if you can reach an agreement with Scott Frost, and it's a long shot if, maybe it's not something that Scott's interested in. But you wouldn't, as Scott Frost, make an announcement on Tuesday before a Friday game against USF.
Of course not.
So you'd have to wait until the weekend. I think that's where the reasonable expectations can be now.
If indeed he's even on the radar as a guy that they want.
Sure.
We don't know for sure that that's true.
There was a wackadoo rumor this weekend that Nebraska came calling for 7 years at $5 million per, and it was all but agreed to, but that never materialized.
And I wouldn't doubt that Nebraska would be offering that to Scott Frost. He played at Nebraska. They want one of their own there. They're desperate to get this turned around. He's a sexy name right now because of the offense that they run. And I think that would be, in their mind, a slam dunk hire. I think it's interesting for a guy like Scott Frost because he's got to consider and somehow remove his emotions, which would be almost impossible for all of us to do when it comes to our alma mater coming and calling upon our services. I mean, no doubt, like everybody or most people anyhow, attend a place, especially sacrifice and play football at a place. He's got a lot of great memories and a lot of love for that institution. And yet there is no question that the Florida job would be a vastly superior job than the Nebraska job. And those are tough decisions to weigh. There is some debate as to whether Nebraska can ever be anything like it once was. Like, can Nebraska be half of what it once was? They certainly haven't been in a long time. So it's you wonder, just that region of the country, recruiting to that region, et cetera.
Perhaps this is reckless, but just to speculate about Jimbo for a moment, with this early signing period being what it is, and the fact that we're playing an extra week, we play ULM on what would be championship week for everybody else, but not for us. It used to be that Big 12 second bye, which would drive me nuts, but they finally have their own conference championship game, which is nice.
Yeah.
If A&M were to make a move, and let's say Jimbo said yes, I mean, would he do it after the Florida game? Because the ULM game, I mean, does that really matter? Because you got to get working. December 20th comes quickly. I just wonder if those issues, which they will, the rumors always, it feels like we're getting to sit down for Thanksgiving dinner, and there's a brand new thing every year, each of the last 2 years. And so it creates its own conversation at the corner of the table. See, my table has like a sports corner, and then everywhere else, nobody gives a damn to talk about sports. So it's like my Uncle Chris and my cousin Justin, my brother-in-law Mike, my brother-in-law Justin. And then everybody else is talking about like movies from the 60s or something like that. But if those things actually start to materialize, I wonder, it's easy to say that if Florida was to pull the trigger and Scott Frost said yes, you'd wait till Friday after they play their game against USF, and that's perfect time for them. But for us, I just wonder. It would be after this weekend, I would think.
It would be after this weekend,
yeah?
I would think.
We should know by this time next week whether or not we got Jimbo rolling into the offseason.
I have a hard time believing Jimbo Fisher is going anywhere. There would have to be a lot of things that are really being kept under wraps currently about a potential schism between him and the university that we're just unaware of. I mean, by all accounts, it is not a fractured relationship between him and the president, certainly. And from what I can tell, not he and the athletic director either. I think he is frustrated. I think he is angry about the way things have gone. I think that this season can't end soon enough for him. I think he's about done.
Join the club
with this year. No, you can hear it in his voice. And that rubs people the wrong way. I kind of understand it though. If he's going to make significant changes to the way that he operates and to his staff, he wants to do that as soon as possible. He wants to resolve this nagging issue that has no doubt irritated him throughout the course of the year. And some of that may be involving things he needs to do to change and can't until the offseason begins. And so it's tough because he knows, too, that Florida State fans and Florida fans and college football in general is viewed a different way than it is from a coach's eyes. So these fans this week, we're all, hey, it's Florida State, Florida. Don't you check out on us. Don't you be worried about that. It's Florida State, Florida. But from his perspective, there's a lot of fixing to do.
But I'll repeat what I said to you when I first heard the interview and actually again when it replayed 20 minutes ago, which is when you ask him, and you tee it up, the initial question about the seniors and what they mean.
Yeah.
And he has no energy to summon for that. I'm like, okay, great. Well, let's just get to this Florida game then. Let's play this game. Because it just seemed to me like, I don't know if it was a big recruiting weekend for the old Delaware State game or what. But
no, not at all.
It just wasn't there, man. I think he feels what a lot of people feel, which is
the weight of a terrible season and the frustration that goes with it. And then added to that is the fact that he gets – sometimes these are all a bunch of little things adding to big things. I happen to think, and we'll address this now, the elephant in the room, that the idea that the quarterback – that we've missed throughout the course of this season, the one that a lot of people feel like had he played, the season would have been radically altered. I tend to believe people overestimate DeAndre Francois' ability. First of all, he's not that good. Secondly, when you hear people assume wins if he were playing, I cringe a little because I'm not so sure about that. I think you could pick a couple of games, sure, but it still would not, I don't believe, with all of the other problems that have occurred, have been a slam dunk that this would have been a tremendous year. But when you couple that with the whispers that there has been a lack of leadership, that he was missing some workouts, that there were players, veteran players, that got into his face about missing those workouts, then you throw in the mix that that's a young man that has retweeted certain things online or liked certain things online that didn't necessarily reveal a great
investment.
Well, togetherness, investment, show of leadership while being injured, and support for the player that replaced him due to injury, and James Blackman. I think there are signs that he may not be the guy, and not the guy that we all thought he was, maybe, or the guy that you would like to see lead your team. He's not there on senior day. He's with a guy that's been, he's with Devontae Phillips in another city, Snapchatting while the game's going on. It kind of does speak to when we reference toxic culture, when we reference lack of leadership and problems in the locker room and things that have been allowed to occur and a lack of kind of having your house in order.
I wonder, and I don't mean this in the most negative way it sounds. I know that everything always has to be one polar opposite, right? I don't know how much he cares about the game of football as a love of his. I think it's what he does.
Are you talking about Francois?
Yes, I'm talking about Francois.
Okay.
Sorry if that wasn't clear.
Well, no, I was just making sure it wasn't Fisher.
No.
Because we were also including
DeAndre.
Yeah.
I think it's a job that he works very hard at, but when he can't, what the hell is the point? And that attitude rubs people the wrong way, and I get why it does. But I'm just trying to put the pieces together here. He's a redshirt. He's going through his redshirt season, and the word was he really couldn't care less. And
he's immature.
Was
the word was he was immature, right, disengaged, and couldn't care less.
Okay, now he sees an opportunity to play, and the switch is flipped.
Yeah,
and he
gets
a worker.
Serious. He's a workaholic. He gets focused.
Right. Then this year, the offseason, there's an element of rumor about how many workouts he made this particular offseason as the incumbent starting quarterback.
Which frustrated people. Rightfully so.
Okay, but he was still a worker, and when even when in talks with the media, as limited as they were, you could tell he just wanted to get to practice, he wanted to get to film work, he just wanted to do what he needed to do, and then go play the game, and then that's that. His toughness on the field is unquestioned.
That has never been questioned.
He's got a true sense of professionalism and effort and will. He could have quit any period last year anytime he went to the tent and said, no moss, and nobody would have blamed him for it. And he went back on the field, however injured, we won't really know the full extent of, and he played that entire season even though he was going to be sidewalk chalk for, half the year. And then this year happens and he's unable to play. And I think part of that, again, it rears its head from the past, which is, well, if I can't play, then it doesn't mean as much to me.
Yeah, that's.
Listen, man, I agree, but I'm describing with the evidence we have of his career. I think football is just something he does, and if he's going to do something, he invests his time. But it's not the same thing as, let's say, a Jameis when he was here. I'm not going to sit with Sean McGuire, hours
that's what being a good teammate is, though.
Right.
That's what being a good leader is. And I'm going to need my quarterback to not be flippant in regards to accepting that role as a leader and to understand how that looks. And moreover, it is revealing of his attitude towards his teammates and the school and his coaching staff and the role of quarterback. So I think it's problematic. Others may disagree with me. I don't think it's a good show of leadership, and I think it's really part of a larger problem, though, that doesn't singularly focus on him. It is what has happened to this locker room. It's, again, a talking point amongst a much larger issue in which Coach Fisher now has to address in terms of how it went awry, what was the cause, what was the root cause, and how it can be fixed. And that's the worrisome subject matter is, can it?
Well, yeah, and he gave a 2-word answer today to the question about Francois at the press conference where he said player discretion, and then there was about 10 or 15 seconds of silence after that.
Yeah, everybody knows it's ridiculous.
You just have to wonder what the offseason reckoning may be for something like that. Player discretion or not.
And what it ends up doing is it put into question again where you're headed. Because James Blackman's a kid, and we'll talk to Ira Shafel here in a minute, but James Blackman's a kid that was put in a pretty untenable situation and had his moments where he looked good, moments where he looked terrible, and everything in between. And trying to vet that and talk about what that season was and who's responsible for his problems on the field as far as lack of production during stretches of his time, and also what was fair to expect of him. I mean, we spend a lot of our time kind of going through that process, but he hasn't completely won everybody over, let's put it that way, and has a long way to go to where he's playing at an elite level where they're going to need him to be in order to make a run back to the college football playoffs. So you have question marks there. You have question marks about the leadership and frankly, readiness come spring of DeAndre Francois, just recovering from that injury and to the extent that it...
Before commitment becomes even a talking point,
yes.
Yeah,
so you have that. You didn't see Bailey Hockman this year, so you don't know what he is. Obviously, JJ... Okay, so this is where we're at.
Does the Buechele kid from Texas want to come on over to the East Coast?
It's just been my experience, though, that a lot of these graduate transfers don't really work out.
It doesn't.
It does occasionally. Certainly worked out for Russell Wilson when he went to Wisconsin. They played great, and he moved the football.
But we remember that example.
But yeah, right. But by and large, yes, not a good thing. Irashfel, warchant.com, joins us next. Stay tuned.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
Landowners, Only Mahindra, the makers of the toughest utility vehicles on Earth, can give you the best year-end deal on Earth. So let us show you how to get tax savings on your new Mahindra XTV. And get cash back and savings up to $2,500 on select clearance models. Plus, get a free roof and Mahindra's 3-year warranty.
TNT. I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck. Always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
Global products to Tallahassee. Whole Foods Market, located at 1817 Thomasville Road, and presented by MMT Clinics of Florida. Visit mmtcfl.com.
To the pylon! That's a Seminoles touchdown!
Barry knows cool. He's keeping you comfortable. Barry knows cool. You can put him to the test.
You can always count on the Knolls to deliver. But what about your home comfort system? If your system is older or giving you problems, call the professionals at Barano Heating and Air Conditioning to check it out. Make the right call this season and turn to the experts at Carrier and Barano Heating and Air. Go Knolls. License number CAC 057652.
Wow, this is great. E+.
E+? Is that like A+?
It's better. The E stands for easy.
Easy Plus?
Yep, easy ways to save energy, water, and money from the City of Tallahassee Utilities. Your own utilities. The City of Tallahassee Utilities has created easy ways to monitor your account with E+ online. We can pay online, we can check our balance online, compare usage history online, and even take a free online energy audit.
And I see the City of Tallahassee Utilities has created a new smart bill. Once we enroll, we do everything online. Billing, paying, everything. What a time saver. Not to mention saving energy, water, and money.
And when we download the City of Tallahassee Utilities Digitally smartphone app, we can do everything on our phone. Pretty incredible.
Plus, there are new authorized payment locations, like some local gas stations, grocery stores, other city departments, and more.
We can even go to the Renaissance Center at 435 North Macomb Street to pay our bill.
Wow. The E really does stand for easy, doesn't it?
It sure does. E+ from the City of Tallahassee Utilities. Your own utilities.
Hey, handsome, what's happening?
I'm ready for a beer, my man. How are you?
I am fantastic. This weather is beautiful.
Perfect, and I have a question for you. Snow cone or candy apple?
Ooh, both are sticky.
Both are tasty.
Candy apple.
No, that's the wrong answer. Halloween or Thanksgiving?
Ooh, one is sweet and the other one's savory. I'm going Thanksgiving.
Again, 16 Candles or Back to the Future?
Oh, my goodness. John Hughes or what's that boy's name? Marty McFly? I'm going 16 Candles.
Papa Grande with a Gordo smash. And by the way, I want that. Or a mountain of delicious croquetas, also with a Gordo smash.
Trick question. Either way, you're not going to lose.
Exactamundo, my brother. Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
Hey, Fido!
Yes, bud?
Hey, have you heard about that Hair of the Dog sports bar?
Yeah, it's all everyone's been barking about. It's Midtown's #1 sports bar with over 50 TVs, burgers, loaded nachos and wings, and a massive bar. Plus, Hair of the Dog is human-friendly, but you gotta keep them on a leash.
Sounds like a great place to watch those human teams play catch.
You mean football?
Hair of the Dog sports bar, Midtown, North Monroe behind Brugger's. Best drink prices and juiciest burgers in town.
Sexy French poodles welcome.
Seminole Headlines, presented by Capital City Bank.
You're damn right.
Catch Jeff Corey and Ira each Tuesday night from 5 to 7 p.m. right here on 97.9 ESPN Radio. This is 97.9 ESPN Radio, WTSM, Woodville, Thomasville, Tallahassee.
ESPN Radio Sports Center.
I'm Christine Lisi. Breaking news, Oklahoma quarterback Baker Mayfield will not start against West Virginia on Saturday. That announcement coming from Coach Lincoln Riley 2 days after cameras caught Mayfield cursing at and making a lewd gesture toward the Kansas bench. In addition, Mayfield won't be a captain for the game. He will, though, play at some point. Week 11 of the NFL season finishes off with the Falcons and Seahawks on Monday Night Football. Seattle without three stalwarts on defense due to injuries: Richard Sherman, Cam Chancellor, Clefabro. Atlanta will be without the injured Devontae Freeman, so that means Tevin Coleman will play a main role for the Falcons, believes ESPN's Louis Riddick.
They need the explosive plays out of the backfield. They still need to be a balanced football team. They still need the run-pass component. It can't just be pass, pass, pass. Against this football team, especially up there in Seattle, where they'll just tee off on you pass rush-wise. And they need to get him involved in the passing game.
Monday Night Football, 8:20 Eastern on ESPN TV and the ESPN app. The Bills say there is no ligament damage to receiver Calvin Benjamin's injured knee. It's not known at this point if he'll be able to play on Sunday against the Chiefs. NBA Celtics look for their 16th straight win in tonight's visit to Dallas.
Dell's Black Friday sale is on through November 26th with the lowest prices of the year, free shipping, and extended returns. Check out the huge doorbusters on electronics and laptops with Intel Core processors. Visit Dell.com/Black Friday or call 800-BUY-DELL.
Live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee, this is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Man Cave Monday, brought to you by Experamac of Tallahassee. Experamac, Tallahassee's trusted tech source for Apple. Stopping at 346 South Magnolia Drive or call at 765-2012 today.
Hour number 2, Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio. Good Monday. Jeff, Tom, we're here for you. Online, ESPNTallahassee.com. That's where you get to listen live via the streaming free. Always, don't miss anything. If you do miss something, remember all 3 hours get posted upon the conclusion of the show every evening. And it will be relatively commercial free. It's on iTunes and our own audio vault. You can always email the show if you like. It's jcs@979espnradio.com. Find me on Twitter at jcameronshow. WTSM app for mobile devices, and we're on YouTube performing the show. ESPN Tallahassee there. As always, on Mondays, we bring in our friend Irash Fell, warchant.com, and he joins us now. Hello, good sir. How are you?
I'm good, Jeff. How are you?
I'm great, man. Happy Thanksgiving in advance.
You too, man. It's going to be one of my favorite times of year that we don't get presents, but it's still a great holiday.
It is an awesome holiday. All right, so you were at today's press conference, and we are rounding out the year now. This is still, and I'm always reminded when the week comes that, you know, we haven't quite been in this situation, but no matter what's happened with the records, people are very passionate on both sides for Florida State, Florida. And yet, this is a unique set of circumstances, and you could almost sense it. What were your thoughts about today's press conference? What did you gather from what Jimbo Fisher had to say about this recent game, obviously a lopsided affair, and the upcoming game, the one people are more interested in with Florida?
Yeah, I don't think there's a whole lot to talk about with the Delaware State game.
No.
I think Jimbo, there are certain things you want to praise players for, and it's a good opportunity for some of those younger guys, but obviously, the Florida game's still a big deal. I mean, it is a big deal. And, it's not like they're bereft of talent. You start looking at some of those guys on defense, C.C. Jefferson, some of those guys that I remember FSU desperately wanted in recruiting. So they've got guys that can play football. But obviously it's been a terrible season, and then they have the coaching change. And, so you don't know where they're at. But I'm with you. It really hit me today also, just kind of the idea, and when we were talking to some of the players, after we talked to Jimbo, when you go into that stadium, it's cliche, but it's not going to be diminished. If FSU wins that game, they're not going to feel any less happy about beating Florida just because they're 4-6. I mean, it's still Florida Field. It's still the Swamp. It's still the same uniforms. They're going to be real fired up for this game.
I think so. I think once you step into atmosphere, it does that. Even as a fan, I've been down there for games where neither team really had national championship aspirations still remaining, and it was passionate. But this is a unique set of circumstances where both teams are under 500. So fans may be somewhat dormant in terms of the noise, but I do believe the players will get after it. I also want to know where you think right now Jimbo Fisher's head's at. He is certainly being asked a lot of questions that perturbed him. One of them has to be centering around his starter from a year ago and DeAndre Francois not being in attendance. What do you make of his answer that it's a player discretion, or do you think it's a bigger deal that he wasn't there?
I mean, my gut instinct would tell me it's a bigger deal, but at the same time, it isn't unprecedented for a player to not be on the sideline for a game. During Jimbo Fisher's tenure and even before, I mean, I definitely know there have been times where, we've asked, hey, where's so-and-so? Oh, he went home early. He went home for the weekend. There's different circumstances. Maybe somebody's going through a tough time, whatever it is. It's not like they needed him on the sideline against Delaware State. But at the same time, yeah, I mean, he said it's not a big deal, but the way he said it seemed to indicate he wasn't thrilled about it. And, look, if this guy's supposed to be your leader, a team leader, and when he comes back from his injury, if he's supposed to be a team leader, you'd like to think that there's nowhere he'd rather be than on your sideline for a home football game. But at the same time, I don't want to say, I do think some people think it's unprecedented, and I don't think it's unprecedented.
I don't think it's unprecedented, but I don't think it was a good look. I also think it's odd and tends to kind of, well, it's certainly in line with some rumors we've heard during the offseason and even some things on social media this year that rub people the wrong way with DeAndre Francois and some of the things that he liked or retweeted. And people find it disconcerting from their leader, and I don't think this was any different if he indeed was with Devontae Phillips Snapchatting. That's not a good look, I wouldn't think.
No, well, here's the thing, though. I mean, at the end of the day, I know you were very high on James Blackman when he took over, and I would think you still think he has a lot of talent.
I do.
But at the same time, if Francois isn't what you hope he's going to be, then what does that tell you about 2018? I mean, because James Blackman, hasn't won over a lot of people. I mean, there aren't a lot of there are some positives about him, but there have been some real big negatives, and he's got to shake all that off and learn from it. I do think this was an unfair situation, but at the same time, the prospect of going into next year where you don't feel good about DeAndre Francois as either the starter or the backup has to be disconcerting.
It is. I think it kind of mirrors and matches everything that's gone along with this season, where there are questions about leadership from top to bottom, and I think it extends from certain players, and obviously we've called into question members of the coaching staff and Jimbo Fisher himself. It really is an uneasy feeling. There's no doubt. I think fans continue to find evidence that they should, in fact, be uneasy, and that leads us to the next talking point, which will be annoying for everybody who just wants to concentrate on Florida State, Florida, one of the great rivalries in college football. But of course they're heating up now, these discussions of the coaching carousel, and obviously there appears to be some interest without question from Texas A&M. What's your gut feeling? What's the sense you get? Obviously I'm asking your opinion here, and things could change. They could back up a brink truck or whatever, we don't know, but Jimbo Fisher will be back next year. What's your thought on that?
If I had to guess, I'd say he will, just because, really I haven't gotten any indication from him and his actions that he's checked out on this team. And I thought there were some moments during that game Saturday. I thought the big moment to me was real late in the game. Amir Rasul, this might not seem like a big deal, but it was a big deal to me. Amir Rasul fumbles for the second time, and he comes off the sideline, and he is furious. He basically throws aside his helmet. He storms off. Players are trying to calm him down, and he's just inconsolable. He's so mad he got this opportunity. He's a really serious kid. Mm-hmm. And he got this opportunity to play in this game, and he keeps putting the ball on the ground. And Jimbo had one of the strength coaches go get him, bring him back to him so that he could, console him and basically tell him, look, man, it's going to be okay. You're a good football player. It's going to be all right. If Jimbo Fisher feels like he's on the way out, I don't know if you do that. Do you care how Amir Rasul feels? 2 games into his sophomore season, 2 games left in his sophomore season. So I think for right now, I think Jimbo plans to be back at Florida State. At the same time, I do think he's going to listen. I mean, in Texas A&M, I mean, what they can offer in terms of facilities and money and all that, I think is attractive. Tennessee, to me, is not as attractive. But Texas A&M, because of the money, because of the investment they've made, because of the fact that he's recruited in that state before, he's recruited Louisiana before, he knows that territory. I think that's the one that he's going to listen to. But again, ultimately, I think it's going to come down to whether or not he thinks there are real problems here. If he stays, I think that's a really good sign for Florida State. I think then that means he believes that all the things you were talking about earlier about leadership and chemistry and morale and players tuning him out, that he doesn't believe any of that's true. And right now, I mean, he's got to have a better insight to that than anybody. So if he stays and he has opportunities to go, I think that's a really good sign for what he thinks is possible in the next couple seasons.
Well, and even if he thinks there are measures of that or aspects of that are true, it would mean that he thinks with some changes, and obviously he's going to make changes to his staff, and perhaps a newer approach from him and some things that he can't sell until after this season, that can be overturned, that can be undone, that can be remedied, and that they can move forward. And I think, I think long term, that's what every fan of Florida State is hopeful for, that he makes those changes, realizes some mistakes were made, and rights the ship, and they get back to, because there's a lot of good players here. There's still, you see that. I know this game is a nothing game, but we've talked about it so much, Ira, over the course of the year. There are moments in time where they're playing, and you're left to wonder aloud, how did it get to this? Because the talent is there. You see it all over the field.
You're right, and not only is there a lot of talent there, I think the attitudes of the young players, from what you hear, is been that they're kind of more in line what you want. I mean, this is not to discount the entire veteran class or senior or junior class, but in terms of like the mentality, the kind of toughness, the leadership skills that you want, there's a lot of that in those young guys. We saw before we were locked out of practice. I mean, I saw some things from Cam Akers beyond the physical, just his interaction with players, his attitude. DJ Matthews, I listened to DJ Matthews during the preseason at a practice talking to some other players about how he was going to take the punt return job, and that didn't happen, but he was determined. He was taking that punt return job, and ultimately he got it, and you could see what he can do. You talk about the young receivers, DJ, and then Tamori and Terry, who we haven't seen this year, but I think we all know has a world of talent. Then those guys on defense have been playing a lot this year ahead of older players. So, I think there's a ton of talent. I think there's a lot of things in place. So I think if Jimbo were to leave, it's not like he's leaving the cupboard bare for a new coach. I think somebody could come in and do a really good job. At the same time, if Jimbo stays, there's tons of talent here. I do think the concerns at quarterback are legitimate, and I think that we have to see what he does with these staff changes, because some of these are still going to be tough decisions for him. I don't think it's going to be as easy. A lot of us play kind of fantasy football with these fantasy GM with these coaching changes. These are real people, friends of his, and I think there's going to be some tough decisions.
Would you, if you were to guess now, say that the changes that are made on this coaching staff number, 4, 5? Give me an estimation in your mind how many people you think are gone from this staff.
Yeah, I would think definitely 5 or 6 in that ballpark. And again, I think it's, I think definitely the defensive coordinator position has to change. I think, because I just don't think you can go into another season when Charles Kelly, 3 of his 4 seasons have been really disappointing on that side of the ball. I just don't think you can sell that to the players. I don't think you can sell that to the fans and supporters of this program. So I think you have to make a change there. And I think, a few other assistant coaches, whether because of age or whether because of it's just not working. I think Randy Sanders, is a guy, the quarterback's coach. It just seems like maybe it's time for him to move on. So I think there's going to be some changes on the staff without question. But I think, the one lightning rod topic, of course, always is Rick Trickett, the offensive line coach, who is really well respected and is one of Jimbo Fisher's closest friends. Some people speculate he might retire. He's got 1 year left on his contract, just like all of those guys do, besides Kelly. If he doesn't want to retire and Jimbo Fisher feels like he's doing a good job, that's another one of those where, Jimbo's probably going to want to go with what he knows, but at the same time, if the offensive line plays the way he did for much of this season, it really opens him up for a ton of criticism.
Best guess, Florida State wins on Saturday and, in essence, gets to 500 because they're going to beat ULM, and at that point they're going to go bowling. Do they beat Florida on Saturday?
I think so, man. I think we're going bowling, Jeff.
All right,
maybe
buddy.
A nice couple days or a day, maybe a nice few hours over in Jacksonville, maybe.
Oh, exciting times, always. We can hit the landing, smoke some cigarettes, eat wings, drive a truck. Woo, buddy. I'm ready.
Can't wait.
Yeah, I can hear it in your voice. Good talking to you, brother. Talk to you later.
All right, Jeff, see you, man.
All right, be good. IrishFL, Yeah, no, I'm not going to Jacksonville. Yeah, that'll be a fun bowl. Who are they going to play? Have you looked? I haven't looked.
Oh, God, no.
I don't think we really care.
That is correct.
I care about going to the bowl.
Now,
just for the bowl streak.
When the bowl happens, we'll care to turn it on and watch it. That'll be cool.
We'll cover it, and we'll do our due diligence. I probably actually will go over there, yeah.
It'll be like in 20 days. So, it'll be cool. It'll be like a Tuesday at 11 a.m. All right.
I want to come back and talk about the DeAndre Francois situation. That's a big deal. It's a big deal he wasn't there. It's a big deal he's Snapchatting with Devontae Phillips. It's a big deal that he's done some things on social media this year that reveal a lack of leadership. It's a big deal that that's been a persistent rumor about him at Florida State since he's arrived, and that he's confirming it left and right. And so you have a situation, as Ira just mentioned, at quarterback, because James Blackman, obviously, from the fan standpoint, in a lot of their minds, he's not the guy. He's given me pause with some of the mistakes he's made this year, too. Understandably, though, I think the mitigating circumstances have been awful for him. But anyhow, he's a guy that would be in the competition without question, but we don't feel overwhelmingly positive about where we're going at that position. We'll see DeAndre, I suppose, from a health standpoint, whether he's ready to go, but from a leadership standpoint, that is seriously in question. It's a problem. And then you never saw Hockman. You didn't. So basically, you don't feel real good at the quarterback position. It's a big damn deal. Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
Landowners, only Mahindra, the world's #1 selling tractor, can give you the #1 year-end deal. Let us show you how to get tax savings on the toughest tractors on earth and get up to $7,400 in discounts along with Mahindra's 7-year warranty. Plus, get an Emax 22 with mid-mower for just $134 a month.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck. Always enough, I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
What ails your vehicle? AAA1 Transmission can make your automobile healthy again. Don't put off your auto repairs. Stop it at 1023 North Monroe Street or call them at 222-2532.
Clean motor oil keeps your engine running at peak performance. Right now at O'Reilly Auto Parts, save on your next oil change when you purchase 5 quarts of Pennzoil high mileage motor oil and a MicroGuard filter for the price of Pennzoil Conventional, just $24.99. Save big with Pennzoil oil at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Limits apply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Need a place to watch your favorite sporting event? Hobbit American Grill, voted best wings in Tallahassee by Tally Awards 3 years in a row. Thirsty? They have the Lucky Sevens, $7 domestic pitchers after 7 p.m., 7 days a week, $7.95. Daily specials. Locally owned and operated since 1978. Hobbit American Grill keeps it local with a wide variety of locally crafted beers plus a full bar. Hobbit American Grill. 3 locations to choose from: 400 Capitol Circle Southeast, 2020 West Pensacola Street, and 5032 Capitol Circle Southwest. Visit them online at myhobbitonline.com.
Clean motor oil keeps your engine running at peak performance. Right now at O'Reilly Auto Parts, save on your next oil change when you purchase 5 quarts of Pennzoil High Mileage Motor Oil and a MicroGuard filter for the price of Pennzoil Conventional, just $24.99. Save big with Pennzoil Oil at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Limits apply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
It's time for some straight talk. You want more data? You want to pay for it? You don't have to. Now Straight Talk gives you more high-speed data than before for the same low price. That's the first 10 gigs at high speed, then 2G for $45 a month, or 15 gigs high speed, then 2G for $55. That's unlimited talk, text, and data on America's largest, most dependable networks. Don't pay more. Get more. Straight Talk Wireless. Best phones, best networks, best deals. Only at Walmart.
A month equals 30 days. Please refer always to the latest terms and conditions of service at straighttalk.com.
You're locked in with the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
But ESPN Radio. Jimmy writes at Jay Cameron Show at _Tom Lake. Just tuned in, and it sounds like a talk with at Ira Schafel from the Lost Decade.
Oh!
Hashtag a-hole.
Hashtag a-hole.
At Jay Cameron Show, the bizarre thing about Francois' behavior is that he's acting as someone who is benched and unhappy, rather than from a season-ending injury. Not being there to support his teammates is definitely troubling. Love the show. Hashtag a-hole. Yeah, I appreciate that. Thanks, Eric. It is odd behavior.
Hashtag a-hole.
At Jay Cameron Show, Kelly knows he doesn't have to play D in L.A. Well done, Ryan. Probably true. That's on the Chip Kelly stuff with weighing the UCLA Florida jobs. You know, we were just talking during the break, Tom and I were, about how bizarre the year has been, because there have been a lot of unique sidebars, stories that, and they're not necessarily positive. Most of them have not been. Some of them are just mired in rumor, and I haven't brought all of those to the table and don't want to and won't. Some of them have been able to be confirmed, and they're just troubling, and they speak to, again, some leadership breakdowns, And that always brings you back to the guy at the top. That always brings you back to the head coach. All things fall at the feet of the head coach. Now, there are specific problems with segments and players on and off the field. And you can blame those individuals for causing those problems, or for not living up to a standard, or not playing to a standard, or behaving that way. And they have to share some of the blame, of course. We differ sometimes on how much of it. I mean, that's the argument, right? It's nuanced. I got you. That's not always the head coach's fault. The head coach can't know what every player on his team is doing at all times, and he's not responsible for a kid going on a social media platform and acting like an idiot or selfishly or whatever that might be. Now, he has to react to it, and there has to be repercussions. There have to be standards that you hold kids to, so that when they do those things and those transgressions do occur, then they are held accountable and a message is sent to the rest of the team. And it's been my contention that somewhere along the way, probably going back to 2014, where you saw guys make business decisions or not play to a certain standard, or the rumors of problems within the locker room, players talking back to coaches, etc. That's where they originate, 2014. The play on the field seems to suggest that's exactly what was going on. No specific thing, one thing that you say, well, that was the reason that they were so inconsistent, or why they played a certain way in the first half and turned it around in the second half. Well, the reason they turned it around in the second half was usually Jameis. But anyhow, the point would be they didn't get out of that talented group the same thing they had got the year before. And it's difficult to do when you climb the mountain and win a national title. But whatever they let slide in those moments for guys that they deem to be above the law, above the rules, and it's not uncommon. We see it in all walks of life. You got a superstar. You got a guy that's bringing in revenue for a company. You get a guy who's an idea man who everything he touches turns to gold, and then he acts out in a way that's unbecoming in the office or says something he shouldn't. And I'm not talking about harassment stuff. I'm just talking about a person being unprofessional. They don't always receive the same sorts of slaps on the wrist of the everyday guy that's just doing what he's doing, filing paperwork or whatever it might be. He's essential to the job, but he's not as important to revenue. So things get overlooked. Coaches do the same thing with superstar players. It's stupid not to. If that guy runs a 4.2 and he's going to class and he is eligible and he's not, committing felonies, well, he takes a play off in practice or two. You've got a real decision to make now, don't you? You can call him out on it. You can tell him that's unacceptable. What happens if he does it again? You're going to bench that guy when he's the difference between winning the big game and losing the big game? And coaches deal with this sort of thing all the time. But when you have those kinds of breakdowns, other players see it. And you really can never have those kinds of breakdowns at the top, meaning the quarterback. And that's why I said, it's what I said to you at the end of the last hour. It's what I said to Ira just a moment ago. It's why I keep harping on this. He was already rumored to have inconsistencies in the way in which he led as a quarterback, or a lack of maturity, or those kinds of things have been brought up before. This is just the latest example. You can point it out. You can say it's wrong. You can say it's something that's troubling for the long term. But then from there, the immediate conversation shifts to, well, this just seems to be in line with so many other things we've heard, which gets back to the head man in Jimbo Fisher. It's also fair in that moment to say, well, fine, but in reality, we're not moving on from Jimbo Fisher. He's not going anywhere. And the truth of the matter is he should have this opportunity, I think, to get it turned around. I think he's done enough and proven enough that he deserves that opportunity. Whether it works out or not is a different discussion, and we all have an opinion about that as well. But he can't do that. We keep saying that. He can't do that until season's end. He can't make the changes on his staff. He can't bring in new voices, get a new set of eyes looking upon the problem to perhaps help guide decisions he has to make this offseason and inform him in the way that he changes as well. He can't do all of those things until we get done with the year, and so you really are stuck in limbo, and it makes for difficult conversations on a daily basis. A lot of you feel beat down. You're tired of hearing the same talking points, but am I to ignore the Texas A&M rumors? And I don't mean rumors in the sense that, hey, there's a whisper that A&M might be interested in Florida State. No, it's coming from a megaphone. A&M is interested in Jimbo Fisher in his position at Florida State. They would like him to come coach Texas A&M. Now, whether Jimbo Fisher is interested or not, we'll find out. But you can't pretend that's not a story. You can't pretend that doesn't exist. And what that does is it breeds conversation about, well, what are the pros and cons of being here as opposed to there? Or why would you even consider leaving a place like Florida State, which is a top 10 job in the country, for a place like Texas A&M, which may have a lot of resources, certainly fertile ground to recruit. They have money and they have want to, and they have a desire to see it all turn around. But really, what has Texas A&M ever done? This is a better job than Texas A&M. I agree with you guys. It is. Doesn't mean he's not interested. Doesn't mean that he's going to, summarily dismiss the opportunity. It also may mean that he does do all of those things. We don't know. But it's worth talking about because it affects recruiting. It affects the way this program moves forward. And all of these things, man, they're not the same as talking about a team that's about to play a rivalry game against Florida for the right to then move forward and play in an ACC championship game, which then could see them go to a college football playoff, which is where we all think they should be on a fairly regular basis.
Yeah, you just want to win. And there's the sentence, right? Because what it does is it simplifies everything else. When your personal life is going okay, the job is that much better. When your job's going okay, it seems to bleed over to the personal life too. You're a chipper guy. Your mom calls, hey, you want to stay on the phone for an extra 5 or 10 minutes because how was your day?
Yeah.
You actually stop thinking about you and the tunnel expands.
Yeah.
And you see the world around you. But that's the problem right now. I think a lot of people And it's married with a time where, there's now 280 characters, but there's a lot of social media too, and
you're bombarded.
You're bombarded without nuance. But I just think there's so much tunnel vision going on right now. Like everybody's got, you can tell Jimbo does. He's just trying to plow through to get to the end of the season that we had to extend for a week, not for the right reasons, not for the good reasons. You're not playing for a trophy a week from Saturday.
You are right.
You're playing for the right to win
for ULM, right?
Some kind of trophy from a bowl that we've never heard of because we haven't had to play in it. So, that's the other thing too. It's interminable. This year is interminable. And the good news is at least you're not playing a meaningless game on Saturday. It's a game we can all rally around.
Well, it's
right?
a game we can care about. Like this last game, for nostalgic reasons for many of us, it was homecoming, and you could come back to town if you were from out of town and relive the days of hanging out with your friends and family and tailgating. And the result of a game didn't really matter. And for once on a beautiful Saturday afternoon, you got a game where you could do that, and that's fine. And for the seniors, it's great to tip your cap to those kids that have sacrificed and come through here and done it the right way. And that's all well and good. But you're right, just in terms of kind of discussing the season, writing about the season, talking about the season, analyzing the season, it is a repetitive thing where you are the issues at hand are the same week to week, and they're not nearly as diverse as you'd like them to be. Normally, when every game matters, well, every week's a new week to talk about what the strategy of this game should be and how it's going to play out.
Different opponent, different strengths.
But when you are irrelevant, you don't really get to do that. You don't immerse yourself in the Duke game.
But if we care to play this weekend, just for the moment of the FSU-Florida game, man, I think our ability to run the football is the game.
Well, it is the whole game, and it seems like that's usually the case against them.
But I think
these days,
yes, but they are not as potent in that particular facet. Now, will they get up for a rivalry game? Who freaking knows?
Well, no, they will. I think they will. They'll play hard.
If they're tested, though, if we hit them in the mouth.
Oh, well, that's always the thing, is you got to give them a reason to quit. They're looking for one.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you got to give them the reason. We haven't been real good about giving reasons for people to lay down. We've left people in the game.
That's true. But we've never seen a Power 5 opponent this year quite like us in a very similar situation. You're in a program where you're being told that you're great, and now here you are. I mean, going into the Michigan game in week 1, they had visions just like we did. Now, theirs were a little bit more crazy than ours, but still, we had the same vision, and now here we are in the same place on a Monday. Except they have an interim head coach, and we have a head coach that we think is going to be here, but may or may not be.
I believe that he will be here, and the percentage I'd put on that is 90.
Okay.
I mean, I don't really sit around thinking much about the idea of him, or maybe the idea, but certainly not the reality. Like, I don't sit around thinking, well, this could be our reality in a week or 2 weeks. We may be talking about
was that the final Mountain Dew Jimbo Fisher interview?
Right. I haven't taken it to that level. I haven't sat back and thought, well, this could be it. No, I don't see the signs of that. Now, do I see the signs of a guy who's worn out, who could use the break, who could use some time to kind of gather himself and figure out what in the hell just happened? Absolutely. But that's not unusual. That's just not unusual. And I think anytime you confront adversity and, maybe a misstep in your personal life or a calculation gone wrong where you thought something was true and it wasn't, and you figure something out. I mean, that's hard for everybody.
And it reminds you every day because you got practice in between these games.
Right.
We check in for the games. We're not allowed to go to practice, even if we were. I don't know how many we'd be going to right now. But,
I actually think I'd go to everyone right now.
Right now?
Oh, I think now would be interesting. I'd love to know what those things look like when all your hopes and dreams have been dashed. I'd like to know the reaction between the coaches. If a certain head man's yelling at another coach, how that looks, sounds.
Well, that's true. There is a Jerry Springer element.
Yeah.
Potentially.
Let's look at this thing. This thing is a blank show. Let's see what we got going on a Tuesday. I mean, I think that would be hilarious. Well, in a sad way.
Can you do it for 2 more weeks?
One more time, a-hole. You can just see those guys having to be separated. It's the Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
Landowners, only Mahindra, the makers of the toughest utility vehicles on Earth, can give you the best year-end deal on Earth. So let us show you how to get tax savings on your new Mahindra XTV. And get cash back and savings up to $2,500 on select clearance models. Plus, get a free roof and Mahindra's 3-year warranty.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck. Always enough, I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
The Nissan Military Program gives you our best price with none of the haggling. You serve, you save with special pricing at Kraft Nissan. Kraft Nissan also has Nissan's Corporate Business Partners Program. Are you an employee of a company that does business with Nissan? If so, you will save thousands with below-invoice employee pricing. Just some of the hundreds of companies eligible for this program are FedEx, UPS, Allstate, State Farm, AT&T, Verizon, Wells Fargo, and Xerox. Call or stop by Kraft Nissan today to see if the company you work for qualifies. And remember, if you don't see the Kraft tag on your car, you paid too much, way too much. Kraft Nissan on Mahan Drive between Academy Sports and Costco.
Get your weekend started right here on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Saturdays at 6 a.m. with Fishing Florida Radio. Listen to the three amigos, Boudreaux, Steve Chapman, and Captain Mike Ortega as they catch you up to speed on what's new and biting in the North Florida region. Big-time guests, celebrities, interviews, and 3 hours of the fishing info you need. Fishing Florida Radio is brought to you by Sea Quarters Marina off Highway 98 in Carabel. Sea Quarters Marina, your full-service marina, and presented by Hobbit American Grill, locally owned and operated since 1978.
Football is here, Tallahassee, and if you're not watching the games at Tallahassee's favorite hangout, the Fourth Quarter Bar and Grill on North Monroe Street, you're missing out. With over 28 TVs, you'll never miss a second of the action. Kick your week off with Monday Night Football, where you'll get 2-for-1 wells, calls, and drafts all night long. Then there's Tuesday Night Trivia with Professor Jimmy. Go win yourself some money. What about lunch? Weekdays, pick from over 20 menu items for just $7.50, including a drink. What you doing for Thursday Night Football? How about the Fourth Quarter, where you'll get 225 domestic drafts, 275 domestic bottles, and $4 Jaeger bombs. No weekend would be complete without Bubbles and Brunch. From 7 a.m. to 2 p.m., get all the mimosas and Bloody Marys you can drink and a breakfast for $18.99. Can you say Uber? Knowles, Bucks, Jags, or Finns, no matter who your favorite team is, take it to 2033 North Monroe Street and watch them at Tallahassee's favorite football hangout, the Fourth Quarter Bar and Grill.
This holiday season, he went to Jared because getting her a blender just didn't sound right. Her ideal gift is waiting at Jared, the Levion Collection. Jared has more exclusive Levion pieces than any other jewelry store in the world. And from November 16th through the 26th, visit jared.com and you'll receive $100 off any Levion purchase. Sound good? That's why he went to Jared. Some exclusions apply. See jared.com for details.
Look at that mouth. That poor, parched mouth. So dry. What'd you eat for lunch? Chalk dust? Did your mouth cannonball into a barrel of mothballs? You're being awfully quiet. Is that because your mouth feels like the business end of a Dremel saw? Is it because your mouth just wrote a haiku and all 17 syllables were dry heaves? You're so parched. You know it. I know it. The entire radio knows it. Just admit it. You want a Mountain Dew. Your mouth feels like it just inhaled the insides of a punching bag, and the only remedy is that neon green potion. Right now, your mouth could be tongue bathing in the refreshing citrus kick of Mountain Dew. Instead, it feels like you've been motorboating King Tut's sarcophagus. Show some mercy. Crack open an ice-cold Mountain Dew. You know your mouth wants you to. Do the Dew.
Refreshment Services Pepsi announces that Josh Strickland has been chosen Employee of the Month. His hard work and willingness to help wherever he's needed make him a true team player, and that reflects the true spirit of Pepsi. Congratulations, Josh.
O'Reilly.
Clean motor oil keeps your engine running at peak performance. Right now at O'Reilly Auto Parts, save on your next oil change when you purchase 5 quarts of Pennzoil High Mileage Motor Oil and a MicroGuard filter for the price of Pennzoil Conventional, just $24.99. Save big with Pennzoil Oil at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Limits apply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
It's time for some straight talk. You want more data? You want to pay for it? You don't have to. Now Straight Talk gives you more high-speed data than before for the same low price. That's the first 10 gigs at high speed, then 2G for $45 a month, or 15 gigs high speed, then 2G for $55. That's unlimited talk, text, and data on America's largest, most dependable networks. Don't pay more. Get more. Straight Talk Wireless. Best phones, best networks, best deals. Only at Walmart.
A month equals 30 days. Please refer always to the latest terms and conditions of service at straighttalk.com.
Live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee, this is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Man Cave Monday, brought to you by Experamac of Tallahassee. Experamac, Tallahassee's trusted tech source for Apple. Stopping at 346 South Magnolia Drive or call at 765-2012 today.
Would you suspend Baker Mayfield?
Well, I mean,
they did. Well, I mean, he's going to play, is what they say.
It tells you how much of a threat they feel West Virginia is.
I was going to say. I would also note that I got to imagine that there are certain guys in the NFL. Like, that's my guy right there. I can win with him.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't mean that in a bad way. Just like when you reach the...
You think he's an NFL prospect?
Height of competitiveness at that level. I do. I think he's got all the throws. Yeah, he's got all the throws. That's the thing. He can play. I mean, there's no getting around that. He can really play. And is he all the other things that he's been described as? Quite clearly.
Yeah, but, the other thing is with the handshake line, you don't need to poke the douche bear, before the game starts, because that's what you just did. You already know he's that.
Yeah.
So now you want to encourage more of it? Like, good Lord.
That
coaching staff must have been like, oh, great. Are you kidding me? You didn't even shake his hand? Here we go.
Oh,
this was the Kansas game. He was going to be no problem today.
He was just going to go through the motions, but nope. He's not going to start against West Virginia. And Lincoln Riley, quote, "This decision was difficult." As he went on to say that basically, well, first of all, if you don't know what happened, in the middle of a blowout, Baker Mayfield, who threw for 3 touchdowns, they didn't shake his hand after the coin toss. It made him angry. And he, after tossing a few touchdowns, decided to grab his crotch repeatedly and yell, "F you." I mean, that's pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
I think I described it aptly.
That's about right.
That's what he did. And it was caught on camera. And, that's an interesting predicament for the Heisman group there, right? Your front runner is
right
grabbing the boys and dropping F-bombs. And it's not the first time he's had some issues. He did go on to say, "I got caught up in a competitive game, a chippy game. But what I did was unacceptable. I apologize. It's disrespectful. It's not the example I want to set. It's not the legacy I want to leave at OU. I do apologize. Thinking about the kids that are watching this now, it's not something I want to do to the parents out there. I'm sorry." I don't. Do you think he is?
No, he is a really up-and-coming first-round prospect in the Ryan Braun, Alex Rodriguez league of D-bags.
Like how hard it would be to surpass Ryan Braun.
But, I mean, as far as he can go, before he gets to the pros, he's taking some big-time steps. I think he's an up-and-comer now.
When I saw it, I did think to myself about the PR people at OU having to kind of come up with a statement. It's a toughie because the camera is indeed, it is locked in. We know exactly what do you say to that other than, frankly, what he said, which is that I'm a competitor and I get caught up. That's an old standby. That's a fallback as far back as I can remember.
Yeah.
Well, in the moment I got competitive. The thing of it is, it's ugly, it's stupid, it's one of a million things that he's done, a million's excessive, but one of 25 things that he's done since being at Oklahoma where you roll your eyes and think ridiculous. That's fine. But, we all know that certainly between players on the field, the things that are said are far worse.
There's a fine line between being angry Phillip Rivers on the field and...
Well, that's usually an inward competitiveness, and he's not typically looking,
But then,
there is a fine line.
A D-bag Johnny Manziel. There's a line there. And both are born out of the same kind of competitiveness.
The red-ass line is always the toughest because a lot of times it falls along the lines of your fandom. Is he on your team? Does he win games for you? Do you see that competitiveness shine in a way that allows for his guys to rally behind it and go win games and all of that? Because a lot of times they do. But you can still... obviously identify it as D-bag behavior.
I'll bet, who loves him? Old Sassy. I'll bet old Sassy loves Baker Mayfield.
I think old Sassy has himself a new favorite player in college football.
It's like the Spider-Man thing.
Oh, yeah. They're just pointing at each other without question. Both really good. Both talented as all hell.
You think Baker Mayfield's going to be a good pro?
I think he's got a chance to be a good pro. Right. I think he can make all the throws. I don't, we'll see. I mean, obviously they don't run the system, but that's changing more and more.
It is.
So I'm not going to just write him off the way I used to when guys came out of colleges that
in a
didn't
world
run
where Deshaun can look good, right?
Right. That's what I'm saying. And so, and I do think he cares. There's no question about that.
Oh, good God.
He cares, Tom. Oh, does he care? No, he does. And you know what? If you're an NFL team, you don't like the idea of giving somebody millions of dollars and thinking that that's what they were playing for. You like the idea of giving somebody millions of dollars knowing that they have an internal fire, something that is a competitive juice that will be in them no matter how much money they have. Well, you will never have to question that with him, right?
That sounds too positive, but yes.
I'm saying you won't. You will never have to worry about whether or not he cares enough to win and to work and to prepare.
Yeah, he cares about a touchdown that puts the team in the 30s in the second quarter as much as he does in the fourth quarter for the touchdown that wins or loses the football game, for your team or his team.
Right.
It's like a guy going nuts hitting a three, if it's 45-42 and you're in the second quarter, 4 minutes to play in the NBA, you're like, good God.
It's annoying. It's unbelievable.
Oh, my God.
I get it. Listen, no, I'm not defending him. I'm just talking about if you're an NFL team, let's say you've already decided you think he can play. So we'll remove that element, right?
Sure.
Okay. You think he can play. When you start going down that list of things that you're going to want in a starting quarterback, whom you're giving tons of money to, if his transgressions are that he is slightly uncouth, overly competitive, occasionally will embarrass you a little bit by, grabbing his crotch and dropping F-bombs within earshot of a mic or a camera.
Right.
There are worse things in the world, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
sure.
you know what I'm saying?
Sure. Well, and I think here's the thing, too, is there's another fine line. So let's put these four people in a category, like Phillip Rivers, Baker Mayfield, Jalen Ramsey, Cam Newton, right? I think one of those four is a front-running type of in-your-face. I think three of the four are the type that even when you're losing, they're still going to try their hardest because it means so very much to them. You're not going to find Baker Mayfield with a towel draped over his head.
No.
Separate from his teammates.
No, he's working.
He's going to shout people down. The problem is his showmanship, quote unquote.
It's old.
It's ridiculous.
Oh, of course it is.
You look like a clown.
Yeah, I completely agree. But there have been times over the years where Aaron Rodgers has allowed his emotions to get the best of him, and he is a red ass of a world-class proportion.
Yes, he's the California cool red ass.
And he cares a lot.
He does.
And he's also the best quarterback I've ever seen.
That's the other thing. You know, there's
an
exception, too. Like, Jalen's going to get it. He'll get the exception. It's already starting in the national media. If he's going to continue to be as great as he's been so far in his career.
Right.
Deion got it.
Here's the other thing. You have to be consistent. Like, we like if you're a heel, if you're always a heel and you don't want to be anything else. Remember, there was a contingent out there that thought, you know, Tiger, just embrace it, man.
You're sitting right here.
It's all right, brother.
Yes.
That's okay. We get it. You were trying to do what the corporate world wanted you to do, settle down, have your family, be the all-American guy. When you're a hound, you can't help yourself.
Here's the deal. See that 8-foot putt? It's to tie me. It's only 16, so you're still going to lose. But I want you, before you putt, think about what I have in my sock drawer. I'm not going to tell you, so think about it.
That's what you would want. You'd love the mics to pick that up. And I always enjoyed the fact that Tiger was Tiger off the tee either way. I didn't care that he dropped bombs because that was more on the network. They knew it's delayed anyhow. They let it.
That's more intentional than most things on this planet.
Right.
What they did.
McEnroe was McEnroe.
Yeah.
He wasn't. I mean, and I was, yes. He cares deeply. And he's really freaking good.
Like Tiger hits a poor shot on the tee. He's like, you're not Chris DeMarco like this jerk. The hell's wrong with you, Tiger? It's a higher standard.
Oh, man. Yeah, well, that's the other part of it, is if you're going to do that, you'd better be good. Like he is currently in college. That, if it happens at the next level, you better be really, really good.
Well, and that's the point today. Of course, this always starts the same cliche stuff, you know, with the extra showboating and whatever.
Right.
But the one thing that's absolutely true is NFL defenses are going to try to goad him into whatever 15-yard penalties they can get because he's got a reputation. He's a rookie, so he's not going to get the benefit of the doubt. So what happens? They tackle him to the ground. A couple extra words are said. Oh, he shoved me in the helmet. 15 yards. You know what I mean?
Well, this is why
it's going to follow him.
When you talk about, though, people who get a pass, Jalen didn't get a pass. Old Sassy did not get a pass right away.
That name is so lovable. Oh, and I have a problem with that, but it's a perfect nickname too.
Old Sassy.
See, it's hard not to smile when you say that.
Well, I don't know. I started calling him Old Sassy a while ago.
Old Sassy will get you.
And that's my phrase. Old Sassy will get you. Old Sassy does now because he's got the words, Tom. It's the way that it's delivered. It's at the right time. People cannot withstand Old Sassy.
You're going to stay in for protection in this practice drill? I will target your helmet.
I'm going to target you.
I don't care that you're the star tailback. You can throw me out of practice.
Yeah, I don't care.
I'm Old Sassy. Who are you?
And I'll be starting on Saturday because that's what Old Sassy does.
I'll be starting on Sundays when you let me out of here.
Yeah.
Stupid rules.
He starts on Saturdays and Sundays. That's what Sassy does. And he makes a difference in the win column. You need Old Sassy come Sunday.
Yeah, they tried to lose yesterday.
Old Sassy wouldn't allow it.
Delvin got the touchdown, too.
I know. Yeah, that's a ridiculous.
He was sassy.
Side note, that's a ridiculous cover. How about that cover for Jacksonville?
Some guy lost a couple $100. He messaged Joe Bucks fan on the Bucks recovery at the end because he teased the line.
Oh!
Yeah.
Yeah, those are toughies. Most people don't like to hear about bad beats, but those crack me up. Like the last play.
The old Nick Mackay segment, which was great.
Oh, that was the best. I miss him. Final hour forthcoming.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
Landowners, only Mahindra, the world's #1 selling tractor, can give you the #1 year-end deal. Let us show you how to get tax savings on the toughest tractors on earth and get up to $7,400 in discounts along with Mahindra's 7-year warranty. Plus, get an Emax 22 with mid-mower for just $134 a month.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck. Always enough, I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
Pint of beer are just $9.79 all day long. Be sure and try the fish blend of sauces, a true wing eater's favorite, the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. He's gone! Home of Trivia Tuesday, Beer Bingo Thursday, and the daily $7.99 lunch special.
Parker Brothers Roofing says don't play games with your roof. Protect your home and your family. The Parker Brothers tell you the truth. We'll fix your roof, cause it's what we do. With quality, integrity, and pride. Parker Brothers Roofing, professional every time. Stay safe and dry inside.
Hey, this is Travis with Parker Brothers Roofing. No one besides us wants to hear that you need a new roof. It's one of the biggest home improvements you have to make, and Parker Brothers Roofing understands. We now offer financing for 0% over 60 months. Yes, that's 5 years. Call us today for 5 years interest-free financing on that new roof. 656-8112. That's 656-8112, or go to parkerbrothersroofing.net.
Parker Brothers Roofing, professional every time. Stay safe and dry inside.
License number CCC 049350.
Landowners, only Mahindra, the world's #1 selling tractor, can give you the #1 year-end deal. Let Mahindra show you how to get tax savings on the toughest tractors on earth. And hurry in for up to $7,400 in special Mahindra cash back and savings.
North Florida and South Georgia's authorized Mahindra dealer is TNT Super Center, US 19 South in Thomasville, and at TNTSuperCenter.com.
Offer with approved credit. See dealer for details. Program restrictions may apply.
Football is here, Tallahassee, and if you're not watching the games at Tallahassee's favorite hangout, the Fourth Quarter Bar and Grill on North Monroe Street, you're missing out. With over 28 TVs, you'll never miss a second of the action. Kick your week off with Monday Night Football, where you'll get 2-for-1 wells, calls, and drafts all night long. Then there's Tuesday Night Trivia with Professor Jimmy. Go win yourself some money. What about lunch? Weekdays, pick from over 20 menu items for just $7.50, including a drink. What you doing for Thursday Night Football? How about the Fourth Quarter, where you'll get 225 domestic drafts, 275 domestic bottles, and $4 Jaeger bombs. No weekend would be complete without Bubbles and Brunch. From 7 a.m. to 2 p.m., get all the mimosas and Bloody Marys you can drink, and a breakfast for $18.99. Can you say Uber? Knowles, Bucks, Jags, or Finns, no matter who your favorite team is, take it to 2033 North Monroe Street and watch them at Tallahassee's favorite football hangout, the Fourth Quarter Bar and Grill.
Yes! The Johnsons don't have that inflatable musical snowman switched on tonight.
Yeah, I may or may not have accidentally on purpose cut the wires.
I love you. Alexa, play holiday music.
You're my present.
Tens of millions of songs, one for every moment. Amazon Music Unlimited. For a limited time only, sign up today and receive 3 months for 99 cents at amazon.com/music unlimited. Automatically renews, cancel anytime.
This is 97.9 ESPN Radio, WTSM, Woodville, Thomasville, Tallahassee.
ESPN Radio Sports Center.
I'm Christine Lisi. Breaking news, Oklahoma quarterback Baker Mayfield will not start against West Virginia on Saturday. That announcement coming from Coach Lincoln Riley 2 days after cameras caught Mayfield cursing at and making a lewd gesture toward the Kansas bench. In addition, Mayfield won't be a captain for the game. He will, though, play at some point. Week 11 of the NFL season finishes off with the Falcons and Seahawks on Monday Night Football. Seattle without 3 stalwarts on defense due to injuries: Richard Sherman, Cam Chancellor, Cliff Averill. Atlanta will be without the injured Devontae Freeman, so that means Tevin Coleman will play a main role for the Falcons, believes ESPN's Louis Riddick.
They need the explosive plays out of the backfield. They still need to be a balanced football team. They still need the run-pass component. It can't just be pass, pass, pass. Against this football team, especially up there in Seattle, where they'll just tee off on you pass rush-wise. And they need to get him involved in the passing game.
Monday Night Football, 8:20 Eastern on ESPN TV and the ESPN app. The Bills say there is no ligament damage to receiver Calvin Benjamin's injured knee. It's not known at this point if he'll be able to play on Sunday against the Chiefs. NBA Celtics look for their 16th straight win in tonight's visit to Dallas.
Dell's Black Friday sale is on through November 26th with the lowest prices of the year, free shipping, and extended returns. Check out the huge doorbusters on electronics and laptops with Intel Core processors. Visit Dell.com/Black Friday or call 800-BUY-DELL.
Live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee, this is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Man Cave Monday, brought to you by Experamac of Tallahassee. Experamac, Tallahassee's trusted tech source for Apple. Stopping at 346 South Magnolia Drive or call at 765-2012 today.
Final hour of the Jeff Cameron Show, at least for today. Thanks for tuning to it. Hope you had a great weekend. Good Monday, everybody. Appreciate you tuning in. I'm Jeff. That's Tom. We're online, ESPNTallahassee.com. That's where you go to listen live via the streaming free always. Don't miss anything. But, hey, if you do miss something, we'll post it. All 3 hours of it. In fact, both the iTunes and our own audio vault upon the conclusion of the show. You can email us, jcs at 979ESPNradio.com. Find me on Twitter at JCameronShow. WTSM app for your mobile devices, and we're on YouTube. Type in ESPN Tallahassee there. You can watch Florida State rolls on homecoming. That was never in question. Later this hour, my Sunday interview with Jimbo Fisher, talking about Senior Day. Senior Day is always a good thing. It's always good to look back at kids' career, but also a lot of those guys that never get to play in a game like this. Both homecoming and Senior Day, and it happened, and that's what I talked to him about, because certainly the final outcome, the score and all of that is somewhat irrelevant since it was a foregone conclusion. Do look ahead a little bit to the fact that it's Florida week, does not have the same weight that it normally does. I know a lot of people don't like to hear that. We'll all get geared up when the time is right, when the two uniforms stand opposite one another, the clash of those the colors of the garnet and the gold and obviously the orange and the blue always present a rise within, right, of your competitive spirit and your desire to see a team vanquish yet again, a rival in particular. Florida State does it. It'll be 5 in a row over the Gators. With so much swirling outside of the football field, it's a little bit more difficult to focus on.
Doing some quick math, too, on the all-time series between Florida and Florida State. It looks like we've had some pretty good runs in about 6 or 7 games, but we've never beaten them 5 times in a row. So that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, beating them 5 times in a row and not being the worst team in the state kind of comes to mind, given what USF and UCF is this year and what Miami's been, and FIU and FAU. A lot of successes out there in the state of Florida.
I think we could handle FIU.
I do.
Probably.
Yeah, I think so.
FAU?
Not as sure, right?
Well, you get into motivation, right?
Well, that's always the thing. I mean, That's been a big problem this year off and on. I don't think motivation will be a problem on Saturday. I can say that for both teams. And I think you'll have to give Florida that reason to lay down. And hopefully it's the running game that does it. As for the rumors that continue to circulate, that's what's going to happen until such time as Texas A&M actually fires a coach and Jimbo declines an offer, and there's nothing more you can do about it. It may agitate you, it may frustrate you. I got it, but that's just the reality of the situation.
Yeah, once again, I think if he comments on it and says he's not interested, that's at that point an indicator that they've had talks, and no, the answer was no. I don't think he's going to come out at this point, especially now, 2 or 3 weeks into the rumors process and say, I'm not interested, only to take the job. I think he knows enough from Nick Saban's tenure and what went wrong between the Dolphins and the Crimson Tide. But if he comes out and says, no, I'm remaining at Florida State, I'm going to be the coach of Florida State, I think that means that they vetted it and said, no thanks.
I believe that's correct. I will also say, in terms of the people who wonder why he hasn't commented on it up till now, it's currently a job that is occupied. So coaches are usually respectful of other coaches. They don't like to deal in that kind of speculation while there's another man trying to finish up his time there and do his job, because they wouldn't want it done to them. So it's just the right thing to do. So he's not going to comment on a job that's not open. And nor should he, frankly. And then secondarily, I'd say that, of course, the other angle there is that his agent's going to say, there's nothing to talk about here. You just go about your business and move on from there. As for what I think he's going to do, I think he'll come back. Florida State basketball, they win. The Noles win both games in Jamaica. It's funny. This is a team that we said would have some warts, some things that are going to bother you at times, but there will be a early, just like all teams are, work in progress, and you'll see other signs that are really encouraging. And so you get the encouraging sign from young MJ Walker, who scores 22 points against Colorado State and does so on 7 of 12 shooting, 5 of 8 from beyond the arc, and 3 of 3 from the free throw line, 27 minutes of play. That's exciting because you're counting on him to become a more consistent scorer for a team that's going to need it, right? To see a guy play his way into that.
Yeah, and he has effort on both ends of the court. Fiondu was great this weekend, too. Cobb averaged a point a minute, 27 points, 27 minutes. He was 9 of 12 from the field, 2 of 4 from beyond the arc. And Friday, he was a bigger star in that game because he had 15 and 9 in just 12 minutes. But he went 4 for 4 from the field yesterday, including a three-pointer, so 12 points and 4 boards. I think you've got a couple of guys that are on the second wave, that are the second team, the line change, that may be factoring for more minutes. He's not in that 20-minute plateau yet. We'll see if production can stick with something close to what it's going at right now, the pace it's going at.
And that's what this is for, right, is figuring out the matchups in the different lineups and who's a guy you can kind of depend on and what role. I mean, this is what you do with your out-of-conference games, and hopefully, certainly along the way, you garner a lot of wins, and they need to go through this stretch of 12 out-of-conference games and get 11 wins or thereabouts, maybe 12 would be nice. Certainly that'd be an upset over Florida if you got it.
Yeah, you have a lot of nice players here. Fiondu's a nice player. Obviously, MJ Walker, the shot came yesterday. I don't think he scored on Friday night, but yesterday he was one of the key reasons you were able to withstand a 14-1 Colorado State run to start the second half and actually turn out and win the game. But Angola's a really nice player. Force is just getting back healthy.
Yeah, he's played one game. He was out of rhythm, so his season debut.
CJ Walker's a cardiac kid, too. There's a lot of little pieces here.
Effort's not going to be a problem.
They need to fall in the right places and fall in the right places, early in conference play, because you're going to have to steal a win from somebody you're not projected to beat in order to get
the first 5 games.
To that. Yeah, you need to go 2-3 probably in that stretch.
I think 2 and 3, yeah. I mean, ideally. We were scared to death last year about the first 6 games of the year, so I'm done just assuming that they're not going to present a challenge for these teams that are bigger names and certainly have, at this point, established themselves with more consistency. I think Florida State will get a level of consistency through these 12 games in the out-of-conference. And it's going to be fun for us to watch because the style of play is up-tempo, as I said before the year began. They play really fast, and they're top 25 right now in terms of how quickly they get the ball down the floor and hoist shots and play the game.
Yeah, the one thing that worries me, and I know that some of the guys that are at the free throw line aren't the ones that are going to be in the main rotation, late in games, but to shoot down there in Jamaica just 55.8% from the free throw line, that's a concern. I mean, that's got to get cleaned up because they pointed out in the broadcast yesterday, Leonard's talking about it, how we went to the line more than anybody in the ACC last year, more free throw attempts, but we finished in the bottom 2 or 3 when it actually came to free throws made. You've got to get better at those little details to make up for the talent gap that left from year to year.
Well, and you consider the amount of times you're playing in close games in the ACC. I mean, you're going to be involved in games where those free throws, while at the end, may not be the difference maker in the moment. Like we see the last possession of a game. We see the last bits of execution on offense or defense, and we say, oh, it's a blow-by. You cost your team the game there, or you didn't get out in time, or you extended too quickly and you ended up fouling. And then the final score is a 4-point game or a 5-point game, and it doesn't immediately come to mind. But the stretch where you go 1 for 6 over your first 7 free throws, and you're thinking, well, there's the difference there. So, yes, all of those points add up when you're a bubble team especially because the margin for error, it's just not there like it is for those elite teams.
And then the other thing is to see who else is going to be the jump shooters because you shoot just a shade under 30% from 3 this weekend. Again, might be the line of sight as you're playing in a convention center
really
in Montego Bay.
Ideal.
Maybe a lot of red stripes. I don't know. But when we get back stateside here, that's going to have to get cleaned up too.
Florida State made 9 of 23 from beyond the arc. It is something that when you're looking at the games, one thing to point out here is we're attempting a lot of 3-point shots. I think they feel like they're a team that can shoot the 3, and that will improve. Also, you force a lot of turnovers currently. Florida State forced 22 turnovers. So far, they're forcing over 21 turnovers a game. Early, small sample size.
But again, that speaks to the effort. That's a hallmark of this team. We've talked about it from the football side, culture and effort, and how they seem to go hand in hand. If it starts a certain way, it's going to finish a certain way. And it seems like this team is starting with a right mind to give great effort when it comes to the defensive side of the ball, in transition, the press, whatever they're doing, they're giving great effort, and they're generating another, 4 to 5 possessions a game for themselves?
Because of it, yeah.
And that makes up for it, too. If you can't make free throws all that much, well, you need more possessions, and that's certainly the philosophy this season.
Last week I said that not having somebody that you had to defer to, a quantifiable superstar that was one and done for sure, is a good thing for Coach Hamilton and for this team. I think the way they play and how they play really is about a system and a buy-in that you have to have across the board, and it's easier to do when you don't think about one guy needing to get a certain amount of shots.
Agreed. The one thing I would say, though, is if there's going to be a candidate, it would be MJ Walker, who had a nice day yesterday.
If he's going to continue to prove that, then fine. We'll adjust accordingly, and it's a good problem to have in that case.
He's explosive around the rim. That was the one thing, you look at his tape and you say, all right, he's a jump shooter, which he's already shown he can be here. He hit a couple of big threes in our first game of the season, and then yesterday he was a big reason in the second half. But I just love the effort he brings on defense as well. He's committed to play both ends of the court, and just that effort level, that's going to make up for a lot of missed assignments as we go along, missed rotations. There's a lot to kind of like here about this squad. It's just you're going to have to get used to the growing pains, too. It's not going to be just walking over everybody.
No, and if you assumed we were going to walk over everybody.
Talking non-conference play.
I was going to say, I know you didn't. I'm just, I was going to say.
You got 2 also-rans this week, then you got Rutgers next week in the ACC Big Ten, followed by Florida.
Oh, little Balls Big Wednesday 2 o'clock tip over there at the TLC Double C, huh?
That is true.
All right. I'm in. Sounds good to me. All right, so we still have football to get back to, though. It is Florida State, Florida week.
That is true.
Can you just feel a tinge of enthusiasm?
I think about the ugly orange Gator helmet, and I do get a tinge. A little bit.
You do, especially when you contrast it with our beautiful helmet.
Yes.
You go, look at their silly helmet.
Well, we're going to be wearing those Regal, as you like to say, the Regal away uniforms this weekend, right?
They are Regal. They look beautiful. I love our away uniforms. I can't wait till we take the field with our away uniforms. And I am slowly but surely building towards the requisite excitement and enthusiasm that surrounds a rivalry game on the road, because here's the deal. As ugly as the year has been, without question, there is still something to be accomplished, something rather significant, not only in vanquishing Florida, but also becoming bowl eligible, which are tied hand in hand this year, because the truth of the matter is that's a win over ULM, and you know it, and I know it. So does everybody. So in essence, you're playing to extend a streak to 5 straight and to become bowl eligible, meaning 5 straight wins over Florida, and to become bowl eligible, which is currently and an all-time great streak that we would like to say intact.
Yeah, there's a tinge, but it hits me right now at 5:16 on a Monday evening, is that I'm more fired up talking about us playing a bad Fordham team and a bad Colorado State team in Montego
you flipped the
Bay.
switch, buddy. You flipped the switch.
But that's just horse you-know-what.
It's never
that's
happened.
Crazy.
It's never happened. It's never
You know
happened.
how bad those teams are that we played over the weekend? They're awful. They're really, really bad.
Yeah, well, I mean...
But I mean,
Delaware State wasn't exactly a good football team to be talking about us playing either. So what are you going to do?
No, I hear you. But what I'm saying is I'm more fired up to talk about those games than I am. That's crazy.
Well, right, because you have not been disappointed. And that's the whole thing. I mean, when expectations aren't met is when disappointment happens. Well, our expectations of the football team weren't met ages ago. I mean, you got to go way back to the beginning of the season and just a disaster. Whereas the basketball team, admittedly, the expectations are fairly low, but they've come out and they've won their games and they've dominated and done okay. They've done what they show blemishes, but your expectations aren't being, shattered. To me, I think they're also a lot of fun because you have to, just as they have to invest, you have to invest and go along for a ride that you already know will be bumpy. And that's kind of endearing in a way.
Yeah, there's freedom in being the underdog and rooting for the underdog to overcome rather than the favorites to crash and burn into the side of the mountain.
Exactly. Yeah. And so when we come into a season ranked number 3 in the country with the expectation that we're going to maybe play for a national championship, and you lose that first game, which you can live with, you hate losing your starting quarterback, but then Irma happens, and then the season is off the rails. You lose to NC State. You turn around 2 weeks later after barely getting by Wake Forest, and you lose to Miami in heartbreaking fashion. And it was at that point that I think we were all probably pretty well done.
I think the numbness, though, kicked in for the long delay, though. By the time we kick off with NC State, because you don't have your quarterback, you're like, all right, well, we'll see what happens here. Everybody else is playing and in the flow of a season, it feels, but we aren't.
Well, also, by the way you lost to NC State is so aggravating because your quarterback didn't cost you the game, and you thought if it did, that would be expected because he's a true freshman making his first start. That's awfully difficult. But it was a holdover from your greatest fear. It was your defense that didn't make, you know what I mean?
Yeah, situational stops.
Situational stops. They didn't make situational stops, and you thought, again with this?
Yeah, the two people in the backfield on the touchdown pass at the end of the first half says it all, right? I mean, that's what it was.
So many moments. And then later on, you get further evidence of that against Louisville, where you need to get a stop, and it's a third down run. And guy runs for 21 yards.
Well, yeah, for me, it was the Miami blitz. It was the corner blitz. That was on their penultimate drive where they responded to our first quote-unquote potential game-winning
drive in the fourth quarter from a freshman quarterback. These are when things begin to go really south. But that's many, many, many weeks ago. It's November. That was in October.
Feels like that was in February, and we've lived every day in between.
Groundhog Day, man. And then you can't even grab the solace that you'd get out of, beating somebody so resoundingly like we did over the weekend because it's just a nothing game and it doesn't.
No, the only Power 5 game that went like that really was BC beating our ass.
I do think
they beat us more soundly than Alabama did.
No, I do think that this has been as trying a season. I go back to those lost decade years. I was on the air talking about the need for a coaching legend to move on. And I remember how difficult that was, and I remember you get a lot of blowback, of course, if you say something like that. You catch a lot of heat. I'm used to people disagreeing with me and deciding to prattle on about it. That's fine. I can live with that. That's what you do when you get paid to give an opinion for a living. Not everybody's going to agree with you every day, and especially when it's about something that we all have a shared passion for. I got it. I can live with that. But those years, it became kind of self-explanatory to anybody willing not to be myopic, right? You could see what was going on here. But they also were not under 500 10 games into the season, 11 games into the season. And they were recruiting poorly and failing to develop. And so one of the things that was going on is literally the talent differential was not appreciably better for Florida State on a week-to-week basis. So if Bud Thacker got blocked, well, that's what Bud Thacker does. Sorry, Bud Thacker. But you just weren't all that stunned, right? It happens. Okay, gotcha. Whereas when you look out on the field and see this group, who's more talented than the vast majority of the teams that they face, it's much harder to stomach these results than it was then with those players and the general malaise that had hit the program. There's no malaise that's hit this program. People are still invested emotionally and otherwise. They're locked in. There was a real belief that a big step forward would be taken. And for a myriad of reasons, it not only wasn't taken, it was a huge step backwards that brought about more controversy and more question marks about the direction of the program. And for people who disagree with that, that's fine, but you're wrong. And so here's the deal. In that situation, all you can do is wait for the year to end so that you can make changes and we can get back on track. I believe, as those people do who disagree with me, that Jimbo is the right guy for that. But until that time, there's no new storyline with which to discover, to mine, to focus on, to talk about.
So that's why I care about MJ Walker and Montego Bay playing Colorado State. There it is.
That's exactly why.
Angola was great yesterday. Yeah, that's why I care.
And that is why you care. And it's also why you find yourself on a weekend like the one we just had for homecoming, in which we're on. You could watch the game, and you're not.
No,
and I'm not ripping you for it. I know lots of people who didn't.
It was on, but it was not on the big screen. I had it on the other guy because I knew it was going to happen. If we touch the ball, we don't turn it over, we're going to score. So there you go.
Yeah, I did laugh
after the first two drives.
Yeah.
The first two drives.
Yeah, I did go. Oh, really? We're going to give up the big play via the air, are we? Just going to let him chuck it around.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about Levante Taylor for 2 hours, including on Friday for about the and then he gets beat, up the seam. I'm like
46 yards. You're like, well.
Oh, yeah, well. I'm just not going to mention anybody ever again.
What I did do though is I did think about how, look, that win brings you a step towards this win against a rival, which stamp it, man. If it happens, you're going bowling. We're not a place where simply going bowling is the stated goal. But it became the stated goal however many weeks ago that we realized it was off the rails. So if you want to identify that as 0-2, 1-3, 2-4, 2-5, maybe 2-5, maybe your breaking point wasn't until the 27th of September.
Yeah, just because you're used to five-star,
excuse me.
Just because you're used to five-star dining your entire life, when you're stranded on a desert island, you're going to eat something you don't want to eat.
I guess I got to eat that Big Mac.
You're not going to choose.
I mean, I guess
on a desert island. So there's a Big Mac there.
Yeah, floats up because the things never die.
I was thinking grub or
goes on forever. You can't kill a Big Mac.
Leaves or something like that.
You just leave a Big Mac sitting on a table and look exactly the same as it did 2 years earlier.
Is that a wrapper from 1978?
What do we do here? Eat it, Johnny. It's the same as it were if you bought it fresh yesterday. The exact same thing. It never goes away. Did I talk all the way to the Jimbo interview? Is that what I've done?
We're on the doorstep here. We can go a few more minutes and then be there.
You want me to go there?
It's your call. What do you like?
I like that I had another winning week.
Oh, did you?
I did.
All right.
And you know why? The National Football League, baby.
Oh, you were on it.
All over the NFL. I bet 4 NFL games went 3-0-1.
Okay.
The push goes to me, so it's really 4. But anyhow, yeah. How about the NFL angle? And I told you that was the craziest thing.
Yeah.
I knew it. And by the way, you rarely ever kind of concede that seems reasonable. I named the NFL games and you went, okay.
No, I agreed. The Lions one was the difficult one.
It was a push.
Oh, was that okay? But by kickoff, you could have gotten and won the game.
Yes, it ended up being a push on my Redemption Thursday wagers.
I got you.
I'm just referencing.
I'm in a spread league. It was 2.5 was the number.
Yeah, so just my Redemption Thursday wagers is what I'm referencing here, just to let you know. But I told you I'd get back to winning weeks, and I got back to winning weeks. It was again by and large because, and here they are.
Way to stay off the Rams, by the way.
Stayed off them this week.
Yeah, that was smart.
And then my Washington pick was solid as a rock.
Mm-hmm.
I just had a feeling. By the way, how good was Drew Brees at the end of that game? Good Lord, looking like a Drew Brees from 15 years ago.
Which is scary because
just
he hadn't this year, and that was the quiet thing. He's not Peyton Manning bad from a couple of years ago on a Super Bowl contender, but he wasn't the same.
It was UNLV on a Friday night. Got it, 1-0. Pittsburgh against Virginia Tech, easy cover there. That was right there.
Yep.
They had a chance to win the game. So 2-0. I lose the UAB Florida game 2-1. I win the Virginia Miami game. That's 3-1. I lose the Ole Miss Texas A&M game. I really thought I could count on that. 3-2. I lose the Michigan game 3-3. Lose the West Virginia Texas game 3-4.
A losing streak here.
3-4. Come on, NFL, talk to me. Detroit. It was -3 on Redemption Thursday. I'm going to give it a push. 3-4-1. Baltimore, easy all day long.
Oh, God.
Baltimore and Green Bay, baby.
First time they were shut out in Lambeau since however long ago.
-2, that's a cover. 4-4-1. Washington +8, that's a cover. 5-4-1. Chargers -4 against Buffalo, an easy cover again.
That was easy, yeah.
6-4-1. Did 11 games this last week, went 6-4-1, and basically dominated with the NFL.
You know, I appreciate that we've made it pretty much through the whole show that we don't have a Jimbo interview or what's on tap, and you have yet to really rag on poor Peterman. I mean, if it was Andy Dalton, you would have by now.
I would have.
But you've had pity on Peterman.
Well, no real pity. I think Buffalo's screwed and poorly run. And you go all the way back, and listen, you've had your moments this year where you could have done I told you so. I've had mine. But when I told you the Saints were going to beat the Bills' ass, and they did, the Bills are a mess, and I could see it going in that direction, even in their win over us, because Tyrod wasn't good in that game, and he didn't deserve to win that game against the Bucs. That was ridiculous. And the Bills' defense was suddenly, formerly stout, starting to fade. So you're seeing a bad combination where Tyrod's not getting any better. He's just slightly above average, maybe, and the defense isn't as stout. You're moving in the wrong direction. And we began to see the results play out that way. Well, Buffalo made this change, and I don't think the players agreed with it. I don't think they would have beat the Chargers with Tyrod Taylor. But the point is they certainly wouldn't have gotten beaten like that. Well, and the 5 interceptions, yeah.
I mean, just think about the circumstances you're making that move.
It doesn't make any sense.
It's a West Coast trip against a good pass rush. What in the world are you doing?
Here's the argument to make for what the Bills did. And I guess I get this. So they believe in their coach, and their coach has decided, I can't win a championship with him, with Tyrod Taylor. I can go 9-7. I might go 10-6, but I can't win a championship with him. I don't disagree with that assessment. So here's what they have to decide, by the way. Are we drafting a quarterback this upcoming draft? Well, I got a kid over here that I've never seen play in a game, in an NFL game. But he did play in 79 snaps of the preseason because Tyrod was in the concussion protocol. They liked what they saw in the preseason. They liked Peterman. They saw him play well. So this is a coach going, I can't win with Tyrod Taylor. We probably need to draft a quarterback. My organization believes in me, so I'm not going anywhere, but I better find out if this kid can play, because if he can play, then we don't have to draft a quarterback. That's what they did. I'm not saying it's right, but that's what I think they did.
You're the number on Levitard earlier today about Peterman and the 5 picks?
No.
It was in 14 attempts. Okay, 5 picks in his first 14 attempts. Tom Brady has 4 interceptions in his last 812 attempps.
One's the very best player in the game, arguably.
I know, but good God.
I know. It's unbelievable, yeah. When it goes south.
Yes.
He's got to start to see it wash over his face.
He didn't play the first 4 games last year, but he has 4 picks since the start of last year.
No, it drives you nuts when you watch him, too, because he's the only quarterback, meaning Brady, that if you watch New England consistently, you'll note he doesn't come close to throwing picks.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers will take some chances, and he gets away with it, doesn't throw a lot of picks, and is the best, I think, in the game. But most quarterbacks, most high-end quarterbacks who challenge people down the field, take 1 or 2 risks a game where you go, ooh, could have been picked. I see what he was doing, but it could have been picked. You watch Brady, you're like, did I see a ball that could have been picked today? I mean, I'll grant you, passes happen. No. There are moments, the Bucs game, but for the most part, you just don't see it.
With Brady, I honestly, the way I see him play, when he throws an interceptable ball, it's because of a fundamental problem. He's fundamentally read something incorrectly, or
his receiver did,
or is on a different page than his receiver.
I'm typically going to guess it's on the receiver.
It's not typically he's throwing to a receiver and a spot because he thinks he can get it there.
Right. Yeah,
there was one throw yesterday though, which it was in no danger of being intercepted, but he's throwing to his right, and it's covered, but it's not. It's one of those Aaron Rodgers, Drew Brees.
He's ridiculous. He made a throw against the Bucs this year, far side of the field to the far sideline.
Yeah, but they're going right to left. I remember this play.
And it's a ridiculous throw that I didn't think he had still in the arsenal.
The one thing that he does better now than I recall him doing, and maybe this is all about the alkalinity of his body, with the TB12 solution he's drinking in his water.
Perhaps.
Is just how quickly his footwork is in the pocket. I mean, I'm not talking about his head getting from progression to progression, but he swivels his entire lower body. And it's like, boom, square, square, square. He looks like a hockey goalie squaring up to shooters on either side of the zone. It's incredible.
You see with him and Rodgers two different things, but two forms of perfection. And, it's kind of cool that you got to appreciate it because it's about to be, over with. And currently, you don't see the crop of future Brady's and Rodgers all over the place either around that league. Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
Landowners, only Mahindra, the world's #1 selling tractor, can give you the #1 year-end deal. Let us show you how to get tax savings on the toughest tractors on earth and get up to $7,400 in discounts along with Mahindra's 7-year warranty. Plus, get an Emax 22 with mid-mower for just $134 a month.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck. Always enough, I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
Simple Mobile dealers and authorized retailers. See the latest terms and conditions of service at simplemobile.com.
It's that time of year again where you have to shop for the naughty and the nice. Make it easy. Super Lube it and get rewarded with a free oil change. Right now, visit any of the 19 area Super Lube locations, buy 3 oil changes, and get 1 free. Keep it or give that free oil change to a car lover on your list. Hurry in and make shopping easy with a free oil change from Super Lube. You'll be glad you did.
They change my oil in just 10 minutes. Boy, this place is sure convenient. How I love to Super Lube my car, lube my car. How I love to Super Lube my car. Yes, sir.
Wonder what the outrageously energizing experience of Mountain Dew Kickstart is like? Well, it's like a combo of 3 awesome things. Dew, juice, and caffeine, rebooting your entire personal operating system.
Mountain Dew Kickstart is in position for consumption. All systems cleared for launch. Initiate launch sequence. T-minus 3, 2, 1, mark. Release the Mountain Dew Kickstart. Mountain Dew Kickstart released. Experiencing a charge of Mountain Dew Kickstart now.
Mountain Dew Kickstart operation successful.
You are now off the couch and out exploring the world.
Roger that. Get charged up for what's coming next anytime, anywhere with Mountain Dew Kickstart. Available in 10 energizing flavors like mango lime, raspberry citrus, midnight grape, and orange citrus. Mountain Dew Kickstart. Fuel with flavor.
Refreshment Services Pepsi announces that Josh Strickland has been chosen Employee of the Month. His hard work and willingness to help wherever he's needed make him a true team player, and that reflects the true spirit of Pepsi. Congratulations, Josh.
You're listening to The Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio. We're joined by head coach Jimbo Fisher. And, Coach, you know, a game like this is not in question, but I always know when you think back on the blood, the sweat, the tears, and everything that's been shared together, when a class comes through, it's an emotional day to coach a game like this. And I guess if you want to give me some big picture stuff here, you got some special guys that are finishing up their career here at Florida State.
We really do. And those seniors, what they've been through, the fifth-year seniors, they were part of the national championship team, part of the 29-game win streak. I mean, 4 straight New Year's Six bowl games, the 5 in a row that we went to. They've been to 4 of them. Like I say, I mean, that just the history and what they meant, the character they went, the things they've went through, the ups and downs, and you know, and it's just special. I mean, and you see them every time you see them on that field. The first thing you think, the first time you ever met them, the first time you ever talked to them, all those memories go through your head. They're just like your kids. I mean, they really are, and it's happy and it's sad at the same time.
Well, and you know, and your coaching staff knows what a lot of those kids had to do to overcome to get to a place like Florida State. I think sometimes people on the outside might forget that there are a lot of kids who had a tough life. Not everybody, but a lot of those kids had a tough life to be able to come through here and potentially get a degree and to have achieved the way that they have. That's what's it's why it's so emotional.
It is. It's very. And people don't understand anything. All these kids have been given everything in their life. Man, they've scratched a lot. Most of them don't have anything. And they've scratched and clawed to have the opportunity of so many people sacrifice for them to get here. And even not just our scholarship guys, our walk-on guys who've come out there. And then my chances of playing are very minute. There's not a lot of opportunities there, but the character and heart on our team, that's why we've been able to stay together this year and compete at the way we have and with the heart and soul we have.
Yeah, if you're a walk-on or a scout team kid, you clearly love football. And to make it through and know that you're not really going to get too many opportunities to shine on the big stage, you've got to love your teammates, your coaches, your university, and you got to love to grind. You got to love to practice.
You do, and I mean the quality you learn in life from the grind, as you say. People don't understand the grind that these kids have is utterly amazing. That if people truly knew what they went through.
I know that it was talked about some in the post game yesterday, but for those that didn't hear that, you can expound upon it now. An amazing turn of events there with Justin Motlow becoming the first ever member of the Seminole Indian tribe to score a touchdown, and his teammates, just to see the way that people responded. That was an emotional moment as well. That was something to behold.
It really was, and one is a part of the Seminole tribe, and two, just Justin in general. He's an unbelievable human being. He works his tail off, yes sir, no sir, and has put himself in a position to earn those things and has made himself into a really, really good football player.
Can you talk about, when we're talking about sacrifice and a willingness to do for a team, you can't help but not ignore a guy like Ryan Green who gets a chance to score, and he's a talent, Coach. I've said before, and I'm sure you'll trumpet this as well, if this wasn't a place where so many elite players come through to play that position, he starts for most teams in the country, most teams in the ACC, and yet he was willing to switch over to cornerback and then come back to running back. Take us through a conversation like that where you have an overabundance of talent at a place and you decide to move a kid, and what goes through that?
Well, it may not be that, or you may need him somewhere else, and guys' skill sets. I mean, even like Xavier Rhodes, when he was a receiver, he could have been a great receiver, but I thought his skill set would be better over there. Ryan was an unbelievable defensive player. And, some of the best highlights he ever had was probably even more so on defense than they were on offense in high school. If you saw, it was amazing. He was a very physical guy. That's why we wanted to move him to corner. And he just, he didn't feel as comfortable there, so we brought him in. We told him to try it. It's worked with a lot of guys we've had around here, and things that we've moved around. And if you don't, bring him back. And he was actually said, Coach, I just don't feel comfortable. So, okay, so come on back. And we don't ever make them. We just suggest, and it's never forced on him. And but he was a multi-talented guy that had the ability to do both. And obviously found where he wanted to play was running back.
Yeah, and in today's day and age, it's always nice to see a kid stick around, willing to compete, not transfer the second things don't go his way.
Mm-hmm. It is. And but with some of those kids, like I say, even the kids that transfer, I don't ever consider that wrong either. Because if you see that there's not an opportunity and you only got 4 years to play in your lifetime, I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing either. But at the same time, Ryan chose, again, I commend him for doing what he did because he's a true Seminole.
Coach, a game like this that gets out of hand in a hurry, I guess gives you an opportunity not only just to play a lot of guys and give people opportunities, but also to rest veteran players. And this has been a weird year, and one that's featured all kinds of things you could not have scripted or played out. So that rest is imperative for the veterans before you take on Florida. No doubt, and it's great for them. And, again, and even your younger players they're going to have extended roles and are playing at the end of the year, instead of getting 6 or 8 or 10 snaps a game, all of a sudden they got 25 or 30, so their development can happen, and you're developing backups. What can you get from a score that gets out of hand like this? What do you get as a coach? What do you learn? What can players get out of this, besides confidence, I suppose? There's moments for guys that never going to get a chance to play
to have those 3 or 4 or 5 plays and get a stat and know that they played at Florida State and made a huge contribution. The young guys getting developed. Instead of getting 10 plays a game, they get 30 plays a game and see how they react in extended time and see how mature your starters are. Are they mature enough to go out there and take care of their business the way they're supposed to early to let those guys play? So, I mean, all those different things can happen.
So had this game or the ULM game, which is now rescheduled, if that had played earlier, do you believe it would have an impact on this team in a positive manner in the sense that obviously that confidence could have been gained, those reps could have been had?
It can be. I mean, you'll never know that. To say that 100%, you don't never know. But you would like to think so. But, that's what it is. It is what it is.
All right, so it's not lost on everybody. It's Florida week. Last couple questions here, Coach. You got Florida now. You've had a lot of success against Florida. Both schools find themselves in a unique position, not used to being teams with these records. But Florida State still has a chance to become bowl eligible. You can't worry about that until you get a win here. Your thoughts on what you're looking at with Florida?
Well, I mean, they're going to play their tails off at the end, knowing we need this game very badly. They're going to play hard, and it's Florida State, so the records don't matter. And this is the true epitome of that. I mean, whether you're 10-0, and whatever it may be, it's Florida State, one of the great rivalries, and both teams are going to play their tails off for a lot of pride, and there's a lot on the line on both sides.
I want to wish you a happy Thanksgiving, Coach. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. We'll talk to you again next week, and you take care.
Thank you, Jeff. Happy Thanksgiving to you and everyone out there.
All right, thank you. That's Jimbo Fisher, head coach, Florida State University, joining us. Talk a little bit about a game that gets away, obviously, very early, and he gets a chance to play a lot of guys. And he gets a chance to see some guys shine who really, really sacrifice. Guys who lay it on the line every day, whose names you don't know. Guys who are obviously just as up against it as a starter that you do know in terms of a sacrifice of some of the fun that you can have in college that you can't have as a student athlete or that you could have less of, and the ability to make those sacrifices and then not get the reward of being out on the field on a Saturday afternoon for everybody to watch you play, but to do it for love of the game and the love of your teammates and the commitment. So I know it's always emotional for coaches. Over the years when I talk to coaches, most of the time these senior day moments or homecoming games are blowouts. They're runaways, and yet coaches cherish them. And not because they're going to get an automatic win, although that's nice. It's because they're going to get to see the faces of the parents, the grandmas and grandpas, and those that sacrificed along with those kids. And those kids will get an opportunity to play and dress and get their time to shine. It's Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine After 7 p.m., 7 days a week, $7.95. Daily specials. Locally owned and operated since 1978. Hobbit American Grill keeps it local with a wide variety of locally crafted beers plus a full bar. Hobbit American Grill. 3 locations to choose from. 400 Capitol Circle Southeast, 2020 West Pensacola Street, and 5032 Capitol Circle Southwest. Visit them online at myhobbitonline.com.
Can't decide between fresh steak, seafood, or wings? Well, Miller's Ale House on Appalachia Parkway has it all. From center-cut sirloin and original pastas to fresh salads and favorites like Miller's Signature Zingers, tossed in your favorite sauce. Miller's Ale House has a full-service bar featuring more than 75 beers, plus wine and liquors. Bring the family to watch the big game inside or on their covered patio on one of over 60 HD TVs. However you come to relax, you will have a good time and great food at Miller's Ale House on Appalachia Parkway.
Hey, Fido!
Yes, bud?
Hey, have you heard about that Hair of the Dog sports bar?
Yeah, it's all everyone's been barking about. It's Midtown's #1 sports bar with over 50 TVs, burgers, loaded nachos and wings, and a massive bar. Plus, Hair of the Dog is human-friendly, but you gotta keep them on a leash.
Sounds like a great place to watch those human teams play catch.
You mean football?
Hair of the Dog sports bar, Midtown, North Monroe behind Brugger's. Best drink prices and juiciest burgers in town.
Sexy French poodles welcome.
Man Cave Monday, brought to you by Experamac of Tallahassee. Experamac, Tallahassee's trusted tech source for Apple. Stopping at 346 South Magnolia Drive or call at 765-2012 today.
We always end the show with a little What's on Tap. And I'll tell you right now, Tom, that, if you'd like, go ahead and cue it up because I want to brag on Proof for a second.
Ready for a cold one? Proof Brewing Company in Railroad Square Art Park presents What's on Tap. So, Jeff, what'll it be?
A story about being at Railroad Square and the Proof Beer Garden. I was there this weekend. Spent the entirety of yesterday perusing Florida State's campus, Florida A&M's campus, being in that little artsy area that's now Gaines. That's so nice that they've done up, and really getting a great feel for Tallahassee and that really the students of Tallahassee. Because my brother and his wife and their 2 daughters were in town this weekend and took them to the game. For homecoming and really let them get a feel for Florida State and wanted them to just kind of experience that area all the way College Town on down, Railroad, coming across Railroad and getting to Railroad Square, walking around Florida A&M's campus, walking back around and using the bridge that takes you over to Cascades that they've got now, pedestrian. It's really gotten to be so nice. I love that whole area. But one of the things that we did, because, by the way, the reason for that is that his oldest daughter may be going to Florida State. So
well, great. I'm just kidding.
So it was neat to see her be able to experience where all the students are. So, and we had fun with that. And then from there, we went over to the Proof Beer Garden, of course, which is always so fun. And I had the best sour that I have ever had.
Oh, really?
Proof's sour is by far and away the best. It's like I'm not going to drink anything else. That's it. I'm done. I'm going to Proof sour, and that's it.
Yeah, there's a special kind of gleam in your eye now.
It was incredible. I only had 2.
Might be a glimmer.
Yeah. I just had the 2 because here's the thing, man. I knew I had work to do later in the day, like interview Jimbo Fisher. And it was early in the day. It was 1 o'clock. The Bucks were on against the Dolphins, and it's a crappy game. And I figured, well, we can have a beer together.
I'm sure Dick Stockton's had 10.
Oh, man. But I hadn't tried their sour. And so, anyhow, what's on tap is me buying some of that sour in the very near future for the holidays.
Here comes Patrick Murphy on the kick.
Yeah.
Who?
Yeah. So the whole thing was really enjoyable. And I want to thank you, Proof, for sponsoring What's on Tap. Proof Brewing Company since 2007, offering Tallahassee's finest craft beer selections at their massive tap room in Railroad Square Art Park and canned deliciousness in stores near you. Good times. You haven't had the sour, have you?
No, I haven't.
I'd like you to try it.
Okay. You think I'd even like it?
I do.
Okay.
I do.
I'm a different guy. Creatures in the Dark when I go to Proof, and that's it.
I like Creatures in the Dark.
I'm done.
You don't try the Ghost Totem?
Oh, I love the ghost totem.
I was gonna say, there's more.
I know,
more
but I
there.
can get the ghost totem around town. The
Yeah.
Creatures in the Dark is.
Yeah, right there.
I haven't seen it expand its footprint, so to speak.
Yeah, Ghost Totem's good. The La La Land's good. The 850's good. Man, the goodness was everywhere.
Well, it is Porter season,
It
isn't
was
it?
good times. It was all out there. I was having a good time. We played a little cornhole, a little ping pong.
Hey, now.
Yeah,
All right.
we're doing it up.
Man, we had to actually close the window last night. It got a little too chilly in the living room.
Sir.
Isn't that something?
Yeah, no, it was perfect. Everything about the weekend was perfect. Florida State with a rollicking good time over there. That game was impossible. I really do think that we ought not play FCS schools. Now, I get it. I get it that every university has this situation where they schedule a game, and sometimes, especially before their rivalry week, it's become the norm. And you know, those schools, they get $1 million check, and it helps to fund their athletic programs. That's fine, and there's nothing wrong. As somebody who was never good enough to get a scholarship to a place like Florida State or Alabama or some big-time school, I get that a lot of kids play high school football knowing they're never going to make it to one of those schools, but they love the game, and they love to play, and they love the camaraderie, and they love the competition, and it's great that there are smaller schools for kids like myself and others who played the game to go to, and that's fine. But I always, watching those games, especially when you get powerful FBS school against weak FCS school, you can watch those games with a little fear in your heart. I don't like it. I don't like feeling like somebody's going to get hurt. There are mismatches to the degree that would be much different if you played, Florida playing UAB, but like if Florida State had played, I don't know, James Madison or something.
Yeah.
You just, where the competition's a little better, you're still guaranteed to win. But when you see FCS schools, we've seen it before. It's not just a knock on Delaware State. It's just, you got 180-pound linebackers on the outside. I mean, what are we doing here?
What do you do, though? Because you got to cut somebody a check.
Yeah,
and they need the check to be cut to them.
Cut a small-level non-Power 5 FBS school a check.
But then they're screwed. Who are they allowed to play? Like they got to go find Duke or something?
Well, that does happen. I mean, FCS schools, by the way, some of those smaller non-Power 5 FBS schools do take on FCS schools if you're a lesser tier.
Sure, but I would just, listen, this could be complete ignorance, but I would think that we cut a much bigger check than, say, Duke would, right? Because then we get to place it on the schedule precisely where we want to, and it means more to us to set it up that we have a game at this particular date than it does to say, Duke. Who the hell are they playing in the last week of the regular season that they need to get a bye week for?
Yeah, I certainly understand that it's much easier, for example, to find a school that, their schedule would be malleable based on the check size you're giving them. They're going to find a way. And they I understand. I just wish, I guess I'm lamenting the idea, look, you could play
ULM, which we are.
That's right. You could play ULM. You could. You pull up the list of schools. There's so many here. Central Michigan. You could play. You could play You could play a UConn. You could play schools like that. You're going to win those games going away.
And Delaware State would give UConn a run.
Maybe, maybe not. But the point is, you could take on a Georgia Southern who beat the Gators. You could take on schools like that. You should be penciling in an automatic win in those situations. And it's not quite so lopsided as to be taking on an FCS school that has really a physical mismatch, the likes of which make me uncomfortable to watch. And it's not about me specifically. It's about those kids that I think when you watch the line of scrimmage in those games,
Man, as I said earlier, I didn't have any family come up to town. I didn't go. I had it on TV too, and I was flipping around to the real football, which was even loosely, this weekend. Virginia obviously put a scare in Miami's heart. But other than that, I was trying to watch Wisconsin and Michigan. I was trying to flip to real football games that were in doubt.
Injury to the quarterback in the Michigan-Wisconsin game changed that one, or else that's probably a 7-point game, so I lament that. And then, moreover, what was the other game you just mentioned? Wisconsin?
Miami, Virginia.
Pick 6. So,
my God.
As soon as
and that kid was playing a perfect game.
And as soon as he throws the pick 6, by the way, that's his 4th this season on a throw just like that. If you're Bronco, you got to say, son.
Well, and Bronco, listen, you're up 14-0, controlling the flow of the game. It's not like Malik Rozier is built to go 80 yards down the field.
No.
Why you try the onside kick in that situation is really frustrating.
Well, and then you're up 28-14 in the second half.
Right, even after all of that.
Yeah, you're outplaying Miami thoroughly, as a lot of teams have this year. Give Miami credit. They find ways to win games. They're not all that good. but they just keep finding ways to win.
What I
games.
don't understand too is the 3rd and goal, and this is where you're playing a bad football team, so it's going to happen.
Yeah.
What do you think they want to do?
Right.
I think Malik Rozier is going to want to run up the middle. I don't think Mark Richt is going to call for a high risk pass.
No.
And a high risk decision to be made by Malik Rozier.
There are 2 examples of where you have to reward yourself if you're a kid in coverage. Malik Rozier threw a terrible pass on 2 different occasions in the second half, one of which is right in the midst on a defensive back who covers it perfectly.
Yes, that's right.
Your grand reward, you got your head around.
Oh, it's 6.
Yes, it's over. You're going to walk.
Right.
You got to catch
It's just double the length of what happened to Virginia.
Just catch the damn ball, my man. Oh. Tough weekend.
Meanwhile, Ryan Green gaining 40.
Good for Ryan Green.
Good for him, though. He looks great, man. He always
Ryan
does.
Green's a kid that will not shock us when he's on an NFL roster. Somehow, some way, practice squad or whatever it is.
Yeah.
He's got talent. He's got heart.
Instinct.
He would start at a lot of places in this conference. I understand why he didn't here. I asked Jimbo about it. You heard it in the interview. Sometimes you get recruited over. And there are kids that come in here that are truly special, and they've had some truly special kids come in. There's nothing you can do, but he's not flashy, but he is solid. I could see him landing on a roster somewhere.
That's why I've been on Team Green since we won the title.
I just like him. I like his work ethic. I like his toughness, both mentally and physically. All those things are true. I get also why he wasn't granted a lot of carries. I just both things can be true. I'll root for him though. I'll root for him big time. It's really, I hate, and I'm not trying to end the show this way tonight because I got a lot of emails from people who are saying, listen, the Florida game's still a big deal. Let's concentrate on this Florida game. Let's talk about it this week because to those of us who've been around the block for a long time, I got emails from a guy, he's like, man, I've been following Florida since the 50s. This is a big damn deal. Oh, I get that it is. I get that it is. We're so big picture, a lot of times you can forget about the individual rivalries, especially when both teams are 2 games under 500. This is truly, truly unique, this set of circumstances.
But being that it's a road game and it's an abridged week, I agree.
It's
Tomorrow
tough.
needs to be full-fledged Florida State again.
Yeah.
It needs to be again.
But it's tough.
Yes.
It's tough. These 2 schools, both, they made it really difficult this year. Very, very, very difficult.
More difficult for them, though. Let's make it that way. Let's make it so.
We have to keep it so. We have to continue the bludgeoning of the University of Florida and add to their misery that is this season and many of the last few years.
Couldn't even catch us while we were this down.
I mean, good Lord, guys.
You guys were just this way in 13. You're supposed to swing back the other way.
No, they haven't been able to do it, Tom. They just haven't. They haven't been able to get traction. A lot of bad decisions along the way. Good work out of you. Good work out of you, Matthew. You guys have a great night. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
When I jump